The All Smiling Faces podcast is now sponsored by Tyre Spot, the Northeast's leading tyre supplier with branches across the region. Tyre Spot don't just do tyres, they cover everything from servicing to wheel alignment. They can handle every aspect of your car's maintenance. For more information, visit tyrespot.co.uk. Enjoy the episode.
For a while.
Hello, welcome back to the Always Smiling Faces podcast on the Gallowgateshots YouTube channel.
You've been back like a second, you've already ruined it.
And now 2 seconds.
You did it like a shut it up at the start. Shut it up.
You've missed the start of this. Sorry, everybody. As you can see, we've got a full house tonight. All here to celebrate Eddie Howe's top 4 mags. Decker, take it away. Say the magic words, mate.
Well, won you now.
Again.
We're the best in the world.
It feels good, doesn't it,
This is
Decker?
the best. I've never been this happy in a long time. I don't think I was this happy.
I
when
hope
my kids
Lisa's
were
not
born.
listening.
Oh, but then you look, she is. No, honestly, it's beyond your wildest dreams, isn't it? I think in terms of where we are, and what's going on. Like it's so far ahead. I'm not saying we're going to finish fourth. I think I'm not trying to get that carried away, but for tonight, I'm going to get carried away.
We're enjoying the moment right now.
Like we're just miles ahead of where I thought we would be.
Yeah, like there's being fourth in the table after 3 or 4 games is one thing, but 12 games in. And granted, there's only us and Tottenham played 12, everyone else played 11, so, it's not quite. But it's like...
Don't spoil it.
I know. But to me, I said this, I think I put it in our WhatsApp group, that game yesterday to me was like, we've shown that we can beat teams, we can compete with teams, but to beat Tottenham, who are in a bit of a funny patch of form at the minute, but still third in the table, even after yesterday. That's Newcastle are serious this year. Like,
well, do you know that there's been games, right? How many times have we went into matches and went, these are on a bad run of form. They're not the team they were. We'll get beat 5-0. I've seen it happen so many times where, because we're obviously trying to believe in ourselves and we'll go to game. We went to Spurs not so long ago saying the same thing. We got battered 5-0. I think it was last year, I think.
5-1. We took the lead.
Shea scored a free kick.
Yeah, and we were going there going, they're under the cosh, they don't like the gaffer, such and such is injured, bang, 5-1.
Yeah.
And we've kind of been there before where we've thought teams aren't as good as they used to be and we've got a chance. But now we are going to teams and really taking them on.
The difference is we've now got a team that even when we've gone to teams like that in the past, that maybe we're in a bad run of form and we thought we might sneak something. We didn't necessarily have the team to do it. Now we do.
We haven't got an awful record down there either, man. We beat them, we drew with them, and Joe Linton scored 1-0 win. His first game in the
season.
Drew 1-1 with him the season after. The Eritrea handball thing, more of which later, obviously. But like, we haven't got an awful record against Spurs, but like, it always felt like a smash and grab in the past. Like the game, even though going back to when Remy scored, when Tim Kroll like made how many saves?
Yeah.
Your normal afternoon, that was Whitehall in, obviously, but you get beat there quite comfortably. The games, the one I mentioned, the Eric Dyer penalty, it was again, very similar to what happened on Saturday, really. A handball in the box, headed from behind him, penalty given, and right at the end of the game, we'd been absolutely battered 1-1.
Yeah.
The Joe Linton one, it was early, Bruce, and everything was kind of out weird. We didn't know what Joe Linton was at the time, it was only second game for us.
It was a lovely goal, wasn't it?
It took it really well. It was a lovely ball by Atsu.
Yeah,
really nice ball by Atsu, just floated over the centre half.
Oh, there's a name from the past.
Good player. I liked him.
Come a long way.
He was limited, but he was all right, Atsu. But like,
better than Murphy, like.
Well, I don't know.
Do you think so?
What Murphy offers now, what he gives, it's one of those ones. Murphy, I'm sure we'll do this now.
Sorry, Chris.
When they'll talk about whenever you watch Match of the Day and they talk about the pressing, and Murphy's always he's always at it. He's always at it. Like the goals against there was one against Bournemouth. I think it was his goal actually, where he's come from like 30 yards out in front of our goal, ended up on the penalty spot for Wilson to put the ball, and that's just pressing the defender, getting in position. So he's not. I think he's a far better footballer than Atsu. I don't think he's brilliant. Don't get us wrong. I think he could.
So you'd have Murphy and Atsu. That's
definitely.
Okay.
He's limited, but the good parts of his game is what suits into the team that we've got the way we are at the minute.
Yeah, you could say the same about I would have said the same about Miggy until 6 weeks ago, maybe, where he's brilliant. We've always said he's got the work rate. He's very one-footed. Didn't get enough goals. Now all of a sudden he's just kind of the confidence is going. The goal he scored yesterday, he wouldn't have scored that last season.
No chance.
The goal against Fulham, he wouldn't have scored last season. The goal against Everton.
Well, he's already got goal of the month
Twice.
Like, I think he's the only nomination for October. It's like literally every game that he's
Just
played
Mickey
it's the Miggy Almiron goal of the month, isn't it?
I was getting a lot out of him. Like he's getting a lot of Murphy, and Murphy's got a lot of improvement to do. I don't think he will necessarily do it. Like if St Maximin comes back in, for all Murphy maybe fits this way of playing better than St Maximin. Is if you could talk about kind of fairly rigid, press very high, defend hard. That's not St Maximin's game, but you still pick him ahead of Murphy because he's such a better.
You almost just want to mix the two of them together, don't you? And keep all them good bits in his energy and pressing. And
I would have Murphy's work rate and defensive kind of, what would he call it, defensive instincts, and everything else out St Maximin. Like literally, like that's 5% and 95%.
Get the press bit, the good bits that we're talking about.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do, rather than
I didn't mean like half and half down the middle.
rather than focusing and covering the game as individual moments in the game, obviously we'll just pinpoint certain moments throughout. But if anybody does have any questions throughout this recording tonight, send them our way and we'll go through as many as possible as we have done the last few weeks. I'll come to you, Decker. Do you feel as if that was our... I think what's the word I'm looking for? So our statement. Our statement. Obviously, we played Man City. We went 3-1 up against Man City. Couldn't close that one out. Okay. Yes, it was a great result anyway, but we couldn't close it up. We'll go to Anfield. The same happens. Obviously, you get the last second equalizer, what it may have been. Winner, winner, even worse. So they scored to take all 3 points. Were you worried when Spurs got that first goal back that we might fall into that old habit?
I wouldn't say I was. Well, I wasn't sitting there thinking it's going to be fine either. But I when I say worried, I wasn't the same as I would have been if it was the Bruce days. I would have been, oh, that's it. We're going to get 3 or 4 here. Yeah. Like I still fancied to get something from the game, but I thought it might be a lot more backs against the wall and Tottenham would be really coming at us. Yeah. Which did not happen, by the way. Well, I know we'll come on to that, but I thought after Kane scored, there's no issues. Like, I mean, we didn't do anything, which is so much credit to us. But I think in terms of going back to your statement, I'm quite sad in this regard, right? Because I watch American football, right? And this thing about prime time and playing on prime time telly and that, and they always make a big thing about that in NFL. I think the reason why it's a bigger statement is because it was on TV, it was on Sky, it was the big game of the day type of thing. Yeah. And I know that doesn't probably matter to the players and stuff. I just mean across the dynamic of the media and everybody watching it. I go back to Joe Linton's performance against Man United when that was on the telly on Monday night. That was a big game. And that was the game that I think made him stand out. We had been seeing it for weeks, by the way.
Everybody else started taking notice.
Yeah, everyone, wow, God, he's all right. And I just feel when you do it in them moments, in them occasions, the bigger results, and that to me that was the statement result.
Well, the 4 o'clock kickoff on a Sunday up by 4:30 as it is now. It's the big. It's the big one. Yeah. It's the big one of the weekend because it used to be the only one of the weekend.
That's right. Yeah.
Going back when the Premier League was new and all that. I mean, show my age here a little bit maybe, but to me that was the big one of the weekend. Although it is still because of that, it's kind of a bit of a hangover maybe. Monday night's a big one as well. Monday night football is
100%. I actually love Monday night one, but I'm not saying to us it wouldn't have mattered. To us, we would have loved it. But if that was 3 o'clock on a Saturday, I don't believe that the sort of fanfare that it's getting across the media here would have been anywhere near as big.
I remember the second going on to kind of like worried about relinquishing a 2-goal lead and stuff. I was sitting watching it, and I remember with 60 minutes gone, how well, lads, half an hour to go. And 10 minutes later, how well, that's 20. And thinking in that 10-minute period, I thought, I've been quite comfortable here.
Yeah.
Then how well, that's 10 minutes ago. And again, that 10 minutes thinking, well, we haven't had too much to do. There's a couple of chances. There was one that just went wide and a couple of headers I went over. And
I thought Pope was more busy in the opening 5 minutes of the game.
Yeah, I think a good save from Son early on. Like
he did. And really well. I thought the one from Kane was outstanding, by the way. Kane took his shot early with his left foot. It's really clever as a striker to do that. He didn't set himself. He took it early. He saved it with his feet.
Yeah,
that was a great save.
It was a straight first 10 minutes, but probably say 15 because it was all Spurs and
100%.
Kane. The amount of through balls he put through it. So honestly,
he was playing in that
football.
He was just playing a little bit deeper, wasn't he? Playing in like in a 10 role, like him and Son had almost swapped. Kind of like their roles, and he was getting in. But I agree. I think the first maybe even 20 minutes, half an hour until we got the goal, I thought they were probably the not the better team, but they certainly threatened more. They created more chances and stuff like that. So we weren't holding on, but we were under pressure for that. But then after that, once we got that goal, that was it. We were brilliant for that last 20 minutes, 15 minutes of the first half.
Yeah.
I actually thought, honestly, I thought we were controlling the ball. I'm sure I had 60% possession at that time, and we controlled the ball for long periods at the opening, just passing it around lovely. But Christ, when them broke, they were so fast, and they were onward. And I was thinking, God, we've got all the ball. I know we weren't doing much with it, but we were trying to command the game and take control of it. But the second we were losing it, they were in, and I was like, "Whoa, God!"
There was a stat earlier. I'm seeing early on around about the half hour mark. It might be in the same one deck like you're referring to. And when I'm watching that game, all I could see was Spurs with the ball. But when the stat came up, it was Newcastle dominating possession. I'm thinking, how are we dominating this?
Yeah.
We're seeing as if we look like the most likely team to concede. But I'm saying we look like the most likely team to concede. But Nick Pope's never really been troubled once again, apart from, I would say, once in the opening 20.
Son had a good chance when he got in.
Early
He'd be
on.
disappointed with the
Early on,
second.
yeah. So early on. Other than that, though, and I'm sitting and going into this game, I'm nervous about this fixture, I think, and this could be the end of our run, basically, because we know how good Spurs can be.
Spurs are a really good side.
But then when I'm watching the game, the more I'm watching it, I'm feeling, why am I worried? Because that defense is so solid at the minute.
I was the same, like as I say, bar the beginning, and when they got that goal in the second half, like we've just said there, we expected them to kind of come back. I get what we're saying about kind of it being the statement. I think it's a statement result. I don't think it's the best performance that we've put together. Like those two games that you mentioned, Man United and Liverpool, I think we played better. But the fact, as we've said, because it was 4:00 on a Sunday, people have seen it, and they've suddenly sat up and taken notice of Newcastle and thought, hang on, how have they suddenly got fourth in the table? They've ground out a result like that. But I was nervous the last 10 minutes, though, because they were coming back into it. They made a lot of changes and started coming in. I thought we're maybe hanging on a little bit.
Man U, wasn't it? Yeah. Where you're thinking, shit.
Yeah.
It's going to go.
Without the Rashford chance, though, I don't think they had the clear-cut chance in that. That I can remember, at least. But I thought Newcastle, I mean, people have made a lot on after the game yesterday, match of the day last night, after the Brentford game a few weeks ago, about how well Newcastle are pressing, how high and I thought as good, if I'm quickly mentioning Everton game from last week, Everton dealt with that really well last week. I thought it was the final third, they were like dog shit.
Yeah,
but they were passing Newcastle. We'll pass around. He's no ball here. Everton, actually really good at that. It will be the ball. But then yesterday, both certainly the second goal, I thought Longstaff did brilliantly. Longstaff did, because it's a ball over the fullback. Longstaff busts the cut. Normal. They showed, was it before the game yesterday? I saw a comparison of Newcastle Wolves last. Oh no, I think it was on a TiVo video actually for the Athletic. Newcastle Wolves last game before the takeover, where they're sitting back and Wolves have got so many passes.
Yeah, so that
we're not touching them.
Satan is now the same match where he's just running by himself. There's nobody around him.
Like what Shola would do sometimes. Yeah, just chase. Like you're basically chasing a big semicircle.
Hoslu as well. He used to do that a lot.
And now compare that, the ball went from Loris to the left back, Danny Rose, maybe, I don't know.
Sessegnon.
Ryan Sessegnon, yeah, Stefan Sessegnon. And Longstaff goes from pretty much, in my memory, the centre circle, cuts the ball out. Obviously, Miggy does what he does, but Longstaff does brilliantly there. Yeah. And that's something that he's not someone that you would associate with kind of the big busting it, got really kind of doing a little bit extra. But he's a few times now this season, I've seen him do that. Where he's forced a mistake or he's kind of won it back, and
I've seen the stat that he's run the most.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
Yes,
was it just for us or in the league?
Certainly for us, I've seen that he's covered the most ground.
If he's done it for us, he's going to be in the other top of the league because we are.
Yeah. I think there's obviously, you'll go back to the confidence and all the rest of it, but there's absolutely no question. It's the fitness of the players, isn't it?
Massive.
That has carried the performances and the results we've been getting, because they are so much fit. I mean, you're going into that the last 5 minutes or 6 minutes, and they still had 4 pressing.
Yeah,
and you're thinking the oldest either would be too shattered, or the message would be everyone behind the ball.
Yeah,
whereas they're still keeping that identity and still trying to play the same way, even if it is late in the game.
There's one
which you've got to commend that.
Joe Linton, after 70 odd minutes, maybe ran back from left wing, pretty much edge of our box, and won the ball back.
Sorry,
Joe Linton.
That was tremendous.
Bruno did the same as well.
Yeah,
that was tremendous.
Stuff like that, and that it stands. It kind of backs up what you're saying, Decker, about how fit they are now. I think Eddie Howe said in last week or two that's how he wanted to play from the get-go, but the players weren't fit enough.
No.
And obviously it's well documented how unfit they were
This
last
is
season.
why I was worried going into this game, because that's your third game in a week. And
Yeah.
then with us playing such a high pressing game, and a lot of the players, majority, 89% of the players are the same ones that are playing right the way through that run of games. And I'm thinking maybe this is one where we'll look a bit leggy, but we didn't.
Do you think that's why you rested Murphy, maybe?
No, I doubt it, because if you rested Murphy before that reason, I would probably say Murphy hasn't done any more than the rest of them have. So if that's the case, it must be down to either a fitness issue with Murphy as an individual or just a tactical change.
He might just fancy Willock in the middle more than...
He really likes Willock. Like,
yeah, I like Willock. I think Willock's in the last... This kind of injury spell notwithstanding, this last month or so, I think he's looked really good.
I think, again, I think we've said this before, he grows into the game, because I didn't think he played well, started well, and then he then starts to get into the game and grows into it.
Very fit. A good runner as well. Was one against
massively.
Was a run against everton in the second half last week, after, because he came at half time, didn't he? So obviously, where he went on a run from halfway, drove forward, and it reminded us a little bit of the one against Leicester last season when he made Bruno's goal. I think he plays out for Anderson. Anderson chips it towards the back post, and I think nothing comes at the end. But he's got that about him, Willock. Like he's and because it was off the bench, he's maybe got that little bit extra fitness. He was poorly, wasn't he? But last Wednesday. But I was a little bit kind of surprised he didn't play him on the left-hand side with Joe Linton behind him, because Joe Linton's so effective as a kind of deep lie and breaking a play up and kind of bringing Bruno into the game.
What was your thoughts on Joe Linton being on the left?
It's weird because...
Do you think it's a tactical move to help burnout after what we saw against?
It might be. It might be. He got a really hard time. Gordon gave him quite a hard game for Everton last week. I think because Kulusevski didn't play yesterday. He was a big miss for them. And I think that obviously helped us a lot. It would have made things a lot harder for Burn. Maybe Eddie Howe, knowing that he was out, thought, well, I can play Joe Linton and kind of get it. It's weird because Joe Linton in his first season, when he wasn't playing up front, was played on a wing.
Yeah.
To comparatively limited success.
He wasn't playing as a winger though yesterday, really, was he? Yes, he was playing in that left side, but he was playing more narrow than a...
Well, he wasn't getting caught in his boots.
It's probably like the equivalent of when we've been talking about, obviously, Maddison, of where he might fit into the team. He was playing more in that, slightly to the left of there.
I actually thought Joe Linton was outstanding, to be honest with you. I really did. I thought he was amazing. And I thought there's been the last few weeks where I'm not saying we've been criticising, but we're like, it was not quite the game that we used to see. And he's giving the ball away a bit cheaply or whatever it might be. But I thought he was absolutely superb on Sunday.
So, Fish and Rod is another decent statement here. I'll put it on screen for anybody who is watching it. He says it's controversial, but you think Joe Linton will steal Maxi's spot in the side. So it's a topic which we've discussed over the last few weeks, how well we have been doing. And that's not because Saint's not in the team, far from that. But it's now given Eddie Howe more options on that left-hand side rather than just saying what we have been used to. So if Joe Linton is bagging performances like that, it's another player that is potentially stopping Saint getting back into that starting 11. If your midfield stays exactly the same, so your centre midfield stays the same in Willock, Bruno and Longstaff, then Joe on the left-hand side.
You've got Shelby coming back into that midfield slot as well. Obviously, he came in second half as well, so it's...
I can't believe how slim he is.
Looks great, doesn't he?
God, unbelievable.
Do you know what I've missed as well? And you'll notice this towards the end of the game when Shelby did come on. When we need to get rid of that ball, he did it.
He just
lumped it in a corner.
He loves just hoofing it, doesn't he?
It was in the dire minutes, and if that's Bruno that's getting the ball, you know what Bruno's doing. He's trying to drop a shoulder and take it to the field. Service, fuck that. He just get rid as hard as he can.
I think going back to the Maxi thing, I think obviously, like, I don't get us wrong, Joe Linton, as I've just said, he was superb on Sunday. It is only one game in that position. What I will say though is Maxi cannot come back in that team. He can't just walk in even if he's fit on Saturday. For me, no chance. Like you cannot change a winning setup. For example, I'll change it slightly. I've seen a lot of people complaining that Byrne was playing left back on Saturday on social media and things. Well, Target should be in. He got the best defensive record going here, man. The best in the league. Why would you change any of them five unless it's forced upon you?
And I would say the only one game where it's been a bit iffy is probably that Everton game. No, Man U. Sorry, I would say the Man U game.
And you know what it is?
He is against Anthony, though.
Exactly.
He's a good player, isn't he?
Other than that, there's been nothing where he didn't even have a bad game against Man U. He had an average game.
In the end of the day, you're talking about opposition here that they're fucking good. You know, I'm not saying Man United are a great team or anything, but they've got good individuals and they'll have moments in a game that they will hurt you. There's no doubt about it.
A poor Man U team is still a good team compared to most. Like, you know, it's still I feel a bad season for them is finishing 5th or 6th, whereas that's what we are over the moon because we're 4th. You know,
and
so
you're going. Well, even if you played them at home, it doesn't matter. But you're at Old Trafford or you're down where we were yesterday in Tottenham Stadium. There's going to be moments in a game that, like, for example, Son or Kane slips a ball in. It's just going to happen because they're that good. Like, you have to just hold your hands up and accept that there's going to be moments you'll struggle. But sorry, to go back to the point, like, why you're not going to change? They didn't with Bruno when Bruno came. You know, we all thought Bruno, and he is tremendous. Of course he is. But when he first came, we were in that run of great form, and he didn't play Bruno. Everyone's going, "Why is he fucking not starting?"
Yeah.
Because the unity's there, and the confidence is there, and the belief's there, and Howe has to show faith in that team until the couple of losses come. They go, right, Maxie, all the best.
Whoa! There'll be no losses. Let's not get there. I think it's just a literally Eddie Howe will change it when he tactically thinks he needs to change it. So when we come up against a bit of opposition where he thinks we're going to have maybe to try and have to break them down, or there'll be going to be more space in between or something like that, so that we don't need to maybe rely on the press from Murphy as much, or having Joe Linton in the midfield breaking and smashing things up. He might want to bring Saint in just to run, to create a bit of havoc.
An extension of that question would be Wilson and Isaac when he's fit again.
Exactly,
as well.
Because
he's
no chance. Like, for me, no chance. You can't put him back in. You can't. Like, you just can't do that. Like,
again, it'll be to rest him if he needs to come in and do a bit of rotation, or one replaces the other, or again, depending on who you're playing up against. If you need that little bit of pace and somebody to run in behind, you'll go with Isaac. If you want somebody to hold up the ball and play off, you'll play Wilson. This is what tactics is again. God, the fucking job that he is doing, man, Eddie Howe, man. Like, to think you've lost Maxi, who I'm still going to say is one of our best players. I absolutely love the guy. He's no idea, right? If you had said to me, we'll be 4th, I would say he has to be in the team to get there after 12 games.
Oh, totally,
he hasn't played a handful. You know what I mean? He's been out. I know there's a few games in there where he did score a worldly against Wolves to save a point and things like that. But this stretch of games that we've been on, he hasn't been involved in, and I never thought would get this amount of results. You know what I mean? Because I was the one banging the drum. Well, against Man City, he would have gotten beat because he had a hand in all 3 goals.
Yeah,
correct, he did. But I'm going to almost kind of agree with what he said before, and I don't want to go down this argument because I'll be here all night. But you've got to adapt when he's not there. The difference is we've got a manager that can adapt. He can physically do something with the team that can get round that. Whereas before, we just couldn't. So I think
that's the most civil debate we've ever had on Alan St. Maximum and being in or out of the squad.
It helps when you win, like.
It does help. It does.
But no, you have to give so much credit to the players that are playing. As you rightfully said, Murphy goes out there, he does a job. Joe Linton went out there on Sunday, does a job. It's just amazing to see these players that Christ almighty, Murphy's been here forever, man. It feels like, but he's able to come in and do a job.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
I spent 2.5 of them out on loan, though.
Well, you know what I mean. Though. 4th top of the league, right? I cannot believe you'll be saying Murphy's been playing a few weeks here. Joe Linton's out left wing. It's just unbelievable, man. And Almiron's 5 and 5. Like, it's just that is the job that he is doing. Longstaff busting a good foot and covering every blade of grass. It's just,
you can see how well the players have bought into what he's trying to do. Like, completely. Like, from day one, you can see from when that win against the Man U was that Boxing Day last year or December 20, whatever. It was after Christmas or around Christmas time. From that game, for me, you had that win against Burnley. That was a bit scrappy. Wilson scored that one. He took a fair half Pope. And it's starting to get a bit the 3-3 draw with Brentford. I was this could be something happening here. But from the Man U game, for me, it was like you could see incrementally getting to the point where the Arsenal game, our last home game of the season, where it was like that to me was with a bit of distance now, that's my favourite day, St James's Park.
100%.
It used to be the 5-0 against Forest when they finished second in 97, Champions League and all that. Bournemouth went down. But that Arsenal game was like it had everything. It was the hope that I probably hadn't had since 1997.
Yeah.
About this is a team that are kind of look how they're playing football. Look what they've done. Arsenal were a good side. Look what they've done to them. The crowd were fully on board. The flags looked at me. It was like this is what we are now. And here we are. October was Halloween at the weekend, so the end of October, 4th in the table, 12 games in, and this is what Newcastle are.
This time last year we didn't have a win.
We're all rock bottom, like 6 points. Newcastle are serious now. Like, well, I'm not saying that we're going to finish first, second, third, fourth, whatever. I'll be happy with 7 still. I'd be happy with 8th, to be honest with you. But Newcastle, they're
Be happy
kind
to
of
finish in the top 10.
yeah. But
But we're serious
they're
about
doing what they're kind of, and they're doing it well. It's not just because when they've spent money, but they haven't just chucked money at like try to buy Mbappe, try to buy Haaland, whatever. It's
There's been no Galactico signing.
No.
Everybody seems to see.
like this time 12 months ago. Again, go back a year today. You've got Dan Burn, Matt Target,
Wood.
Nick Pope, Chris Wood. Obviously, Wood's a bit party now because we've got Isaac and
Trippier as well, obviously.
Trippier, but I mean, I'm saying ones that you were unheralded. Maybe 12 months ago, if you sent Trippier as like an eyebrow raiser.
There was a lot of people give him a stick going, you're the richest club in the world, and you've signed
Yeah,
exactly as you mentioned.
Yeah,
you know?
Like,
But now that we're doing well, all of a sudden it's because of the money we've spent. I'm like, that's bullshit. That
like this time,
Gonna be,
12 months,
you know.
like feasibly, we could have signed all those players under Ashley.
that's what I was going. That was literally what I was going to
There was
say.
talk of getting Eddie Howe under Ashley. So
Yeah.
these aren't like this isn't. I mean, and it is. We're more, even though these players are kind of at that certain standard, that certain kind of reputation, they'll still be enticed by what they've been sold. Like Bruno keeps on talking about how he's been said, "Oh, we'll be in the Champions League."
I wouldn't have signed him.
We
like,
wouldn't have got
to be fair.
Trippier had it not been for-
Bruno,
Bruno.
Bruno, Isaac, probably even Trippier.
We're not signing.
we wouldn't have
Botman.
signed
Let's be clear.
the
We're
red-
not
the other
signing
them.
Botman. But can I
Botman
just
is
say,
another
Botman,
one,
yeah.
yeah.
how unbelievable is he?
Even Botman was wary about coming.
He
But
is something
he's-
else, you
he
know.
must just be
I
looking
love
at that now and thinking, I definitely made the right decision.
He looks the part, doesn't he?
He's
He looks excellent.
unbelievable. I've been wanting to talk about him tonight. I knew we'd get to him. We'll have, honest to God, man, he has it all. Like he has
Yeah.
it all. I thought Woodgate was the best that I'd seen personally.
Still is.
I think he could surpass it. Like I really do.
Yeah.
And I did say I think he would be our company. I sat here a while ago and said I think he could be the one.
You see Redknapp yesterday.
I didn't hear it, but I seen the comments.
Something along the lines of, he's like, he
Oh,
could be
everything.
one of the best
Yeah.
that we've ever seen the Premier. Yeah,
He's unbelievable.
it's
Man.
early to say that from me. Yeah,
Is
but
this-
he's been excellent. He's been very good so
Been
far.
very good.
Is this the best?
Unbeaten, 11-11 when he's played. We've never lost when he's played.
Is this the best
Right.
defense
Never
that
lost,
we've
you know.
seen in a long time?
Perhaps ever.
Probably
Ever.
ever.
For us, without even when we were good, what a
There's
shit
always been
defense.
one or two
Well,
rugby ones in
was
there.
it that
Ah, I
shit?
don't know, like,
Eh? Under Keegan, how
we haven't always.
that
No,
was
the
the best
difference
year
is
to
we
never
had
shite.
a good defense. The problem was that they got
They still consider
absolutely rinsed because every
Only a
bugger
couple
else
more
was.
than Man United, wasn't it? Actually, to be fair.
So
Was
when,
it,
when I had the pleasure of doing the quick fire questions with Les Ferdinand, we're talking about the entertainers. He said I said, which player would you replace in that entertainer squad with a player that was currently at the team playing at this moment in time? And he said the goalkeeper.
Shaka.
No, would have been
he would have played Pav.
Would have been Pav. Would have replaced
Well,
Pav.
Pav and Shaka would almost
Would
always.
have been Dubravka
Was
at
it
the time.
Dubravka at the time? Yeah.
Yeah.
But listen, Pope is a huge difference as well. In that back five, if you like.
Yeah.
Huge difference. I also think that I was reading something just I think yesterday or this morning. So yeah, that he's been working on his distribution, and you can see that he's still a bit awkward. I still feel he looks.
I think when he
awkward.
panics,
Yeah.
yeah.
There's
But
times
you know.
I've started noticing. I'm not going to start bad mouthing Nick Pope here. I am a little bit.
Nick Pope.
Nick Pope.
I love that.
Yes, brother. But every game, it happened. I don't think yesterday as much, but Everton last week. And there's always something that happens against Everton. He kind of came into the box for a header and didn't quite do it properly. It's like, just slightly better decision. But I like him a lot. He's a really good stopper.
He didn't
He
run
really
out of
is.
the box and face up to Harry Kane and then fall on the floor.
Well, we'll get onto that in a
Aye.
minute because I think Bestie's got a bit of a different opinion on this one.
I'm assuming you all don't think it's a free kick.
Not well.
So hang on, let's set this one up.
Well,
So
was it? That was it.
We'll set this one up. So let's get straight into Newcastle United. So we've been going 30 minutes, and we haven't even started on the goals. Newcastle's first goal, Bestie. We'll come to you, a member of the goalkeeping union, which isn't always a good thing because I've heard some questionable comments from
Paul
ex-goalkeepers.
Robinson was moaning this morning on Sky Sports News.
So, talk us through that then, Bestie.
So, from the lovely ball over by Shea, let's start with that one.
Okay.
Lovely ball by Shea. Wilson's managed to keep himself onside, so he's done really well there. Loris comes out, wins the ball, collides with Wilson.
Wins the
Did he
ball.
win the ball or get to the
Wins
ball
the
first?
ball.
Is that not the same thing?
I would say win the ball,
Oh, yeah,
controlling it.
Here we go. So, right, we've said that if Wilson gets the ball first
Mhm.
in the collide
Mhm.
and Wilson goes down,
Mhm.
is it not a foul?
No.
Really?
If they both run into each other, then no.
This is
Depends.
Where,
I
this
think
is where I'm
it
at.
depends on.
We are screaming for a red
It
card.
depends on his touch.
No, well, not if it's exactly the same touch as Loris has had against Wilson, and he's not the ball behind him, so Wilson can't. If Wilson stays up, or if Loris stays up, there's a chance he can win it. He's not saying he definitely will, but if it happened the other way around, if Wilson knocks it past Pope, or if Kane knocks it past, Wilson knocks it past Loris, or if Kane knocks it past Pope, and Kane knocks Pope over, we are screaming for a free kick.
Do you know when you're saying knock it past, the way you're saying that, I'm thinking of he's controlling that ball
Yeah,
past
and
him.
go
He's
around
not-
him.
doesn't-
That's what I'm saying.
Well, no, to go back to what Bessie said, let's just, everything was the same. The touch was the same, everything, but it was the other way around, right? Wilson has done the same touch Lloris did, and then run into each other. Are we going, that's a foul? Or are you going to go, that's just
100% we are screaming for a foul.
I think
there.
so as well.
And probably a red
If-
card because he's last man.
If Wilson gets to that ball first, he doesn't go down.
No, well,
So are you suggesting
I think he probably does.
that Wilson hits Lloris with enough pace and power to knock him off his feet like that?
I'm not saying he does.
No, that's not what the court we're talking about. We're talking, is it a foul or not? And I think it is.
So again, the point is, if it was reversed and Wilson does the same thing Lloris did and ran in,
Not the way that it's
so you would not be sitting
not
there going,
with
that's
that,
should be a
not
foul.
with the touch that Lloris had, and with the reaction that he had to the collision.
It's got, when I put a collision in it, it's literally a collision. It's the dictionary definition of a collision.
So
It's a foul.
why doesn't Lloris just come out? Lloris gets that ball way before Wilson because Wilson stops his run.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lloris had.
He doesn't stop his run.
He does.
He steps into him, if anything.
He stops his run.
Well,
he
you
holds himself off, and then he can obviously kind of slow it down.
You can't go
completely.
anywhere. I'll give you that. You can't go
So
anywhere.
he tries to stop himself, and then he ends up to come together. But if Lloris comes out of that ball, he should be putting his foot through, his boot
But
through
that's
that ball.
irrelevant,
And
though.
That's not the point.
That's
Yeah,
not-
it's not because
No,
that's
it is.
what.
No,
That's
irrelevant.
what.
It's, Mark, it's
irrelevant.
totally irrelevant.
It's not relevant because that's what leads to the incident.
I
If
understand
he,
that.
He doesn't get to the ball. He doesn't
That
put his
doesn't-
foot
You
through
can't.
it.
You
So
can't
then
not give. You can't not give a foul
Because
because
you
someone's
should've
made a bad decision.
You should have cleared
Well,
it.
he made two bad decisions.
Well, that
He didn't. He
So
didn't clear the
what I
ball,
think-
and
what
then he
they're-
threw
what they're
himself
trying
to the
say,
floor.
Put the shirts on.
But-
on opposite.
you know, like,
So if you just put the shirts on opposite
Yeah.
players, that's all they're doing. Same
If
situation.
the
same
touch is
thing
this,
happens.
if the touch is the same, and
Everything's
Wilson
the same.
goes down the same,
No
like,
foul.
I'm not.
I don't believe it.
wow, I don't believe you.
I
Mark.
think-
Well, I probably would scream in the instance of it, but looking at it in the common
With
sense
black and white
way,
eyes. That's what you're doing?
that's what you.
Say if I'm watching that right, and that's not Newcastle playing, I see that happening in that two other teams. No relevance to me whatsoever. I'm disappointed if the referee gives a free kick there.
I honestly think if at the other end, Kane, Pope gets to it first. The touch takes it behind Kane. Kane and Pope collide. Pope goes over. Twitter's going mad with all England's captain. You cannot touch him. You cannot do it. And it doesn't matter because it's given. And Wilson does brilliantly.
Very, very good.
Unbelievable.
He does brilliantly.
He
It's
doesn't
a
even look.
lovely
He doesn't
finish.
look at the goal.
It's a great finish. It's a brilliant finish. I think it's a foul, but it's immaterial.
I didn't think it was, if I'm being honest. And
It's
as
never
much
a
as I've
foul.
been on Bestie's side, I think it was only when I thought of that scenario of if it was the other way around, would I be saying that's a
That's
foul?
'cause-
But
That's
that doesn't mean it's a foul.
That's
No,
why
that
we've
just
got
means
black
that
and white glasses on.
you're hoping it's given as a foul because you don't want to be on the receiving end of the punishment. It doesn't mean that you believe it that it's a foul.
Well, I would
You
if it
want
was
it to
real.
be. You want it to be a
course,
foul because
like-
it's going against you.
I'm gonna scream like for a red card now, but I'm also screaming for handballs when it hits players' faces.
Exactly.
I don't know.
It's a natural
just try to
reaction.
be
isn't
more.
it?
I just try to be more. You know what I mean? More. I've always said
Did Wilson try to pull out of the collision?
No.
no. He doesn't. I think he steps in with his arm.
He
No,
steps
I-
in.
He slows his run
Callum
straight
Wilson
down.
makes sure he gets Wilson.
He definitely
Loris,
he
like,
definitely does.
he
mate.
does. He looks at him and he kind of steps in. I'm not
Especially
saying
with his left arm. He
Well, he does
literally.
his
He's not, yeah, fair enough. His arm comes to the side. He
It does.
doesn't.
Wilson
Because I've
engineer-
seen it. He's got like the froze on there. Oh look, he's got a hold of him.
No,
he's
no,
grabbed him.
no.
He hasn't.
That's a screen grab. Doesn't prove anything.
Yeah.
But Callum Wilson makes sure that him and Loris collide.
I don't think even if he wants to get out of the way,
I don't think he can
I
get out of the way.
don't get
but
it away, but he makes sure.
He certainly slows himself down before the contact. He almost tries to bring himself to a halt, but can't.
That doesn't matter.
It stops, and then they go
If
together.
he-
He hasn't just piled.
Yeah, but
because
he
if
can
he
see
if he
the-
piles straight into him, 100% that's a foul.
He can see the pace at which Loris is coming out, so he can think, right, if I stop here, all I've got to do is get in the way, and he's bouncing off his. So Wilson knows that.
Well, Loris
that doesn't mean it's not a foul.
think the same way,
It's up, if,
but he
it's up,
throws himself to the ground.
well, let's remember.
well, Loris has got it. Loris makes a lot of mistakes. He did in a World Cup final when Mandzukic took it off.
twice in that game.
He should have saved that one as well. I think he's got to keep out Loris, but he's got a mistake in him. he should have got a better touch on that one. He should have launched it clear, and if he wants to go
100%.
through Wilson, go through him. But make sure you win the ball first and poof, get rid of it. The way it happens, even though Wilson does slow down, does stop, he makes sure him and Loris
thought he
collide.
didn't.
What?
I thought you didn't.
No, he does. Well, that's what I've said. He does, but he makes sure that he knows that Loris is going that quickly that Loris cannot stop. So all he's got to do is get in his way, knock him off course a bit. Loris said,
Were you surprised?
He draws the
Callum
foul.
Wilson.
Were you
You
surprised?
know what Callum Wilson's like?
He's
Nowhere.
a dick, and he is.
He's
I
that
love
kind
him.
of player.
I love him. I do, but Christ, he's a dick.
When we talk about Harry Kane being
all
a dick,
game, man.
Callum Wilson is, but he's ours. He's our dick.
He's our dick.
He knows exactly.
Said this all
You can
along.
see him looking at it. You can see he does. He leans into it. He makes sure him and Loris collide, and then what happens. I think that honestly, I'm not saying it to be like I got totally reassured on Twitter.
When I seen you put it on, I thought this could be.
What-
So
Does
does this not make you
This
think
could be
if
fun.
he's
no,
No,
I
because
know I'm right.
To be fair, on the other side, I've seen a lot of Tottenham fans go, "That's not a foul." And again, though, I do think it's very soft. By the way, and it is. I mean, Lloris just throws himself to the floor. In me hearts of hearts, that's not a foul. Get up, man. That's my immediate opinion. But again, if I just flip that and I do think I'm screaming saying, "Hang on, that's a foul." That
But I
like,
think we're looking at
But
it
you
the
do,
wrong
but
way
that-
by
not-
saying that. I think if it's two other teams that we've got no affiliation to whatsoever,
I'd
that's how
probably
we
say
judge
it was
it.
soft. Then I probably would say.
and
I
that's
think
why, and that's why I'm saying
probably
it's not necessarily that you think it would be a foul at the other end. You're claiming the foul because it's going against you.
So I'll just quickly go back to what Bessie said because it was a good point that if it was Kane going around Pope and that happened and it got given, I think we'd be sitting here going, it's only because it's Kane, captain of England and all that. I really do.
Definitely.
I really do.
Yeah, but
think.
once again, that's because it's our team.
I know,
getting
but
the
that,
goal
but that
conceded
shouldn't.
against.
But that
Or if
shouldn't.
if
Yeah,
Harry
but I'm
Kane
talking
going,
about
I
it.
know, but it shouldn't.
If
if
it's
Harry
defensive
Kane
on
going
you.
through against
It's
Bournemouth,
your
and Raya,
unconditional bias.
I
isn't
use
it?
somebody else about home Harry Kane because you dick.
all right, if it's Jamie Vardy,
Nah,
See,
like that's
I
fine.
think that the way the keeper knows he's fucked up. Lloris knows
He tries to buy that free kick.
if he comes out and launches that, it doesn't happen.
oh yeah, it's a mistake. That's
If
what
he
I mean.
clears the
know
ball,
that, we
then
know-
he
we
probably
know
gets
that,
the
though.
free kick.
But that doesn't mean it's not a free kick.
Just because
You can take a bad touch, get fouled.
You should have done a
It's
better
still-
touch.
Yeah, but he
Referee's
goes,
not going,
he goes into
broke
it
the
and
leg in that,
reacts in
sorry,
that
man.
way because he knows he's made a mistake.
Oh, that's
So
fair,
he
no
tries to buy a foul.
I don't think he does. I think by going down, yeah,
Aye.
but I still think Wilson fouls him.
problem. Anyway, though,
Anyway,
we're
doesn't
not going to
matter.
agree. But the finish.
It's a
Can we come to
it's
the
a
finish?
sumptuous
Brilliant.
finish.
It's his
absolutely.
weak foot.
Left foot.
My
the
God.
weight of it.
It's
Perfect,
just
innit?
beautiful.
Aye.
It's beautiful.
It makes it even more crazy when he doesn't even look at the goal,
Yeah.
but he's still got the presence of mind just to know where it is, and he hits it at enough of the height that it clears Dyer as well.
Aye.
beautiful.
Remember
And
the-
he hasn't even looked to see he's there.
Remember the volley against Arsenal last season that just
Oh, my
faded
God.
right at the very end. It was a little. That would have been more spectacular.
It's unbelievable.
But
That
that
one.
was a
Chest
kind of.
bang.
He's got that awareness, just to kind of knows where the
Yeah.
goal is, knows what he has to do, and it's that one
Instinct.
was- yeah.
Pure
Will he be on
simple
the plane?
instinct.
Will he be on the plane?
If there's a 55-man squad, he's got to be.
He's got to be.
If he's,
I'm not
if he's
saying
fit,
I don't think he'll. I don't think necessarily be in the final squad, but a 55-man squad, he's in the top 55 players, English players in the country.
100%.
I think Dan Burners as
but
well.
he has to be
No,
on it at the
agree.
minute, doesn't he? Just based on the form that he's been in, the way
Yeah.
he's been playing, because he's had a good run of games. He's in that because that 50-man squad, 55's been already named. We just haven't seen it yet.
Yeah,
So he's got to be on that list.
I was going to say it
Has
seems
to
early,
be.
but it's like literally a month away the World Cup in it. So
He has to be. He has to be on.
Well, we're saying he has to be. But
Well, when you look at
we've
some of
seen
the,
informed players not
Yeah,
traveling
well,
the Southgate
Madison's
squad
been
before.
one. Yeah.
if you think who else is going to be in there, you've got
Kane, Abraham,
Kane, Abraham, Ollie Watkins,
Yeah.
probably at Villa,
Calvert-Lewin maybe.
probably.
maybe. But
You're 100% getting there ahead
but-
of Wilson. 100%. He shouldn't
he's
be,
only
but he
he's
will.
only played
shouldn't
a
be.
game and a half.
He shouldn't be, but he will.
What? And it shouldn't be ahead of Wilson, man.
Well, that's what I'm
Wilson
saying. When
should
you
be
when you look
Danny
at
Ings.
these
Danny
players
Ings,
that are
yeah.
going to be on that list and in and around,
Love what he did for that kid. by
that's
way.
the-
Well, good.
His face. Brentford, Ivan Tony.
Ivan Tony, yeah.
Tony
I'll
deserves
take
it.
Tony. Like
Tony
that.
deserves it. Yeah, 100%.
had Abraham and Tony not too similar. Would you not take Abraham over Tony?
Is Wilson
Is
not quite
Wilson
similar?
not similar to Kane?
He's very similar. Yeah.
I would. Wilson has to be there. Like, but I think it's fitness rather than room on the plane.
Yeah,
I think
that's
it's fitness.
if he
Maybe
if
his
he can
age.
stay fit between now
Is that
and
not experience, though? Maybe
November.
not better. Like, you know,
I think.
being
Well, I
on
don't
the
know. I
block
think
a
his
bit.
age when you look at someone like Tony, who's 24, 25, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think he's that old.
He's got a couple. He's got another 2 or 3 tournaments left in him, maybe. Where Callum Wilson, you probably say this is his last chance.
Oh yeah,
Can't
yeah.
see him getting in the next Euros squad, next World Cup 4 years away. He could be retired by then. So
He deserves it. Deserves it
on
100%.
form, on ability as well, certainly.
He's so good.
Um,
so good.
Part of his hopes that he isn't just because
Oh, selfish,
thing.
100%.
Yeah.
Being
Yeah.
selfish. Sorry there, but yeah. So you think it's definitely a foul?
You think it's a
You
foul?
think it's not? You think it's not a foul?
You think
Oh,
it's
sorry.
not a foul? Apologise.
It's him.
Sorry.
I don't think it's a foul.
So I think it's 3-1, but I can totally get.
I wouldn't
what
be
you're saying, 'cause
surprised.
I'm on his side
I
a
was
little bit.
expecting VAR because of the protection.
It took a while, right? Took a while.
To give a free kick.
Yeah, but they were
That's the reason
checking.
why, though.
They were checking the offside, not the foul.
Well, then I heard they were checking handball. And that. They were checking
They were
all
They'll
sorts
be
of
checking
stuff.
balls. Like, there's
I
no-
think they were checking everything gone. In the
We're not
longer
getting
it
back
went
onto
on,
this.
I just thought the longer it was going on, I thought shit.
Well, on the ref watch this morning, Dermot
yeah.
Gallagher said that
chance.
referee got.
Do you know what it is? We don't listen to that shithead anymore after last week, though.
Well,
Yeah.
Jimmy Gallagher always says the referee got it right.
It was a foul in the box,
No,
but it wasn't a penalty. He
Yeah.
got
Aye,
bollocks
that
off.
was mad. That wasn't it?
No, he's a fucking idiot as well.
You
Right.
could tell straight away when he said that. He was like, "Oh no!" Like you just see his
Yeah.
eyes. He's like, "Shit."
He was like rabbit head.
Aye, he was. He was like, "Oh my god."
digging sunshine.
Was a foul.
Right. Let's just move on to the second goal.
Yeah, it's pretty
and
soon
yeah.
after. Wasn't it?
Bestie, you once again you've been quite active on social media recently, haven't you?
And I always.
Yeah, you've been getting quite ratioed by this as well. So
Was that for this one?
yes, so you also said that there was a few people getting tagged in it, but I don't think anybody actually bit.
Oh, about people who are making apologies.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you put on Twitter last night, I think it was.
That's fair.
That a lot of our fans owe Almiron an apology. Explain that.
I think I was talking to someone. It might be in the start of this podcast, of course. Like,
I was talking to somebody.
Was it? Was it
39
us?
minutes
I
ago.
was talking to these two bald lads. Yeah. No, yeah, I think the abuse Miggy's got. He played well, but people concentrate so much on the one assist in a year thing, which admittedly wasn't great. Like, I mean, we've all kind of agreed with that. He is very, very one-footed, but I think every game he's been available in house picked him. I might be incorrect on that, but I'm sure.
This season, certainly.
Yeah, and how you can see why he likes him so much is he is hard working. He does bring other players into the game a lot. He just doesn't stop. He could be one of the fittest blokes in the league.
Gets back and defends as well.
He does, and what was missing from his game was the goals, the assists, if you know, whatever you want to call it, key passes and all that carry on. But he's always been a canny player. He's always been decent. And people, even when he's playing well, people are like, he's being shite, and you think, well, have you not watched the game? And now he's kind of got the goals to kind of back up. He should probably have scored, not this season, but over the past, is it 4 seasons now, 3.5 seasons? He probably should have scored more in that time. I don't think anyone would argue with that. But now he's got 6 and 6. He might go on a bit of a dry patch, but he's still playing brilliantly. He's still doing all the things that he was doing anyway.
He's added to his game.
And he's added that. It is, I think it just comes from confidence. The way he held
100%,
he held Sessegnon off yesterday and drove it. And I mean, Laurie should save it, really, to be honest with you. But just to get it, he would not have done that a year ago. He would maybe have looked for a pass, give it back to Longstaff, put it inside for Wilson or something like that. He's playing with a bit of bloody mindedness about him, and that hasn't been evident in how he's played since we signed him necessarily. But it's been clear all the way through that as a player there, right? Surely it's not just me.
Yeah.
Oh god, no. I think every single fan is loved him for his work rate. His attitude's always bang on. You can see that, right?
Yeah.
His work rate, even back in the awful days, he would always go, "God, he puts a hell of a shift in."
Yeah.
But I think a lot of fans,
But a lot of people would say that he's a headless chicken.
well, he was
For those kind of things.
in my opinion, he was. Sometimes he was just chasing empty crisp packets for me. Like it just, you know what I mean? It wasn't really, he's working hard off the ball and looking, you know, he's tracking back and he was breaking up play occasionally. But in terms of going the other way was the problem.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but when you've scored 2 goals in 61 games, there's an issue, like when you're the attacking guy.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, there's you know, there has to be a time where you can criticize. I think there has to be a time.
I can criticise,
and
yeah.
I would say like you work really, really hard, and I love you, and you always got a smile on your face. But Jesus, 2 and 61 is good, mate.
Well, if you've just
You know
looked
what I
at the summer, I think all of us sat here and said replace him.
I think we were all kind of looking forward to getting a right winger signed, weren't we? That was
An
the
upgrade,
talk.
yeah.
The talk said we needed
And I think it's because none of us expected this to happen.
Yeah.
Get 5 and 5 or whatever it's been. And I mean, God, he looks not 10 times a player, sorry, but he's definitely getting an extra 30% out of him, I think. And the energy's still there, but it's the confidence on the ball.
That's the big
It's
difference.
unbelievable, isn't it?
He's trying things that he would have shied away from doing in the
100%.
past, or
Yeah.
he'd tried to do one of those curlers in the top corner. He just couldn't get the power generated into the ball and stuff like that. Just
that is definitely confidence.
everything that's
Yeah.
that he's doing at the minute
think
is
probably
just
been-
working for him.
I think it's a bit of everything. You've got the confidence. You've got
Yeah.
him playing with. He's got Kieran Trippier behind him. He's got
Help
Bruno
massively.
Guimaraes in the
Them
middle.
two are linking up fantastically.
Really well.
I
overlapping
actually think
brilliantly.
Bruno and Miggy's working tremendously together.
Yeah, they've
Yeah,
got a little
from
thing they've
day
done a
dot
couple of
them
times.
two.
It's the same ball.
With
isn't
the
it?
Did I-
ball back, lift over the top.
It's the same ball.
Yeah,
yeah.
it gets Everton as well.
Was the stat not that every goal that Miggy scored has had an assist from Bruno?
Well, the one that we get yesterday was Longstaff, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Must be before the game you saw that one.
Might have been
Probably.
before the game, might have been.
But possibly Miggy and Bruno have linked up. The one against
the
Everton
Palace
was
one
Fulham
last
was
season
Palace.
was like
Yeah,
that, was over the top.
the other one when he took it off Zaha. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think another thing with how Miggy had played up until was a lack of Eddie Howe and Rafa Benitez. I think the bloke that was in between, who's currently jobless, just
Ruined
didn't set teams up. It was talk like Longstaff was kind of ruined because of him. There's so many players that you look at the defense went to shit before Howe came in, or even before Howe. Even after Howe
Shea?
came in, Fabian Shays in that one, yeah. I think a lot of
£3 million him, by the way.
yeah. I think a lot of what was wrong with Miggy came down to just a really poor a team that wasn't set up well.
I have to agree with you there because I think I used to say this about Maxi a lot as well, as where they'd pick the ball up, Almiron would, and he'd be in 1/2,
Yeah.
having to run the entire length of the pitch pretty
Yeah.
much on his own. That's really difficult. Now, we're winning the goal yesterday proves that. We're winning the ball higher up the field. You know, he's getting the ball and he's in the final third already. And
Yeah.
that burst of energy. Now, I think the old Almiron would have maybe brushed off the first guy, but then come inside and passed inside.
I think that's right. Yeah, I think
that
that's fair.
little bit of belief that he has, certainly, just to burn past the fullback is just outstanding.
He was not a slouch.
Oh God, no,
No, far from it.
But I tell you, if you're at a standing start against him, you're in big trouble because he's that quick. You know,
Yeah.
he was moving, he was at a standing start, and he's just passed you before you even know it.
There's a couple of times where he's done what Oberdan's name comes up in there quite a bit, where he just knocks it down the field and he knows he's getting
It's just
that. No matter
gone.
how
Yeah.
hard he hits that, he
Yeah.
thinks, I'll get this anyway.
I
He just
feel as if
runs around them.
Yeah, you're right. Oh, because of his pace, I think the fullback yesterday, kind of doing what I would defend against, but is all right. And I'll show you down the line.
Yeah.
I think he did the right thing personally because he's thinking he's going to come inside.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he moved his whole
Tried to
body. He
come
went,
on
go on
him.
then, all the best to you, mate. And he went, I see you. He was just gone.
Wow,
like,
that's me.
he was just in, which was brilliant. And I agree, probably the keeper should do better. I would be disappointed in the keeper, but
Yeah.
hey, it was a wonderful goal.
It's a
At
great goal. He
time as
deserved
well.
it.
Yeah, he
Deserved
did
it.
deserve
And
it.
do you know what it is? Everybody's talking about the goals which he's got during this Premier League season, but there's been a comment there as well. Just remember the pre-season that he had as well.
Oh yeah, he was top scorer.
Banging them in
Yeah,
Well,
pre-season.
the
Six,
goal
eh?
he scored yesterday was every game in pre-season. It was the same goal. Gateshead, he scored 5 against Gateshead. There was the same goal. It was the same as that. Oh, it was 2 or something. But every single time I was going on the NUFC team watch the match, it was the same goal he scored yesterday.
Yeah.
Every game in pre-season, and we all were hoping. I really hope he can continue that. And
Yeah.
my God, has he not? Thanks, Jack Grealish.
So let's go through some of the comments. So some of the questions which are being sent in here. So this is from our very own Daryl. That says, we've won our last. No, sorry. Did you say they won their last 7 at home? So Spurs. Last
they
7
won every
at home.
game at home this season. Haven't they?
Yeah,
Um,
unbeaten.
He says, is this the new Dr. Newcastle Decker? So the roles have been reversed.
Yeah. No, it might be. It might be. That's a
It
good.
didn't work at Anfield, though, did it?
No, it didn't. Not quite. No, but I think that's a really good point. I mean, they were the third in the table, but I think it also stems back to last season. I'm sure it was 9 in a row, technically.
Yeah.
That they've won in a row. It's a tough place to go to. For all there was 9 teams on there, there was probably 7 of them I would have probably expected them to win, but you've still got to beat what's in front of you.
Mhm.
But I'll go back to what I said the very first time I opened my mouth when I've just sat here is we've went to the stadiums like this and nights like that and getting absolutely blown away.
Yeah.
And also going back to what Bessie said, we've also went to these grounds and won games, but you come away and go, we're just like we got battered for an hour.
Tim Kroll.
Yeah,
won.
exactly.
Yeah.
But we're going to these, playing against these teams and going to these grounds and really, really taking the game to them and holding them on.
Or
And,
matching them.
and looking, matching them
Yeah.
and looking just as good as them, or if not better.
We're showing no fear now
Mhm.
when we're going to. Whereas you've gone to places like that in the past and think, as you've just said, oh, we'll give it a go, but I don't know whether we'll have enough. You go in there with a lot of confidence. We were disappointed with the draw against Man United last week because we thought we'd go there and maybe had our best chance of winning. So
One thing that we have done a lot at Anfield, White Hart Lane, Tottenham Stadium, and Old Trafford, had a lot of players going down with cramp.
Are you surprised the amount that they work hard?
There's a lot.
Are you
What are you
thinking
trying to
it's
suggest here?
gamesmanship?
Absolutely. Well, leaning in. Yeah. Well,
So
yeah.
this
Game of management.
I thought it was uncomfortable the last 5 minutes. That I was watching it going.
Yeah.
I was watching it. I know it's all about the rest.
So,
You
yeah,
know,
so
It is-
then
it is
the
game
next
management, it is
question,
part of it, yeah.
And yes, it is game management. And apparently Newcastle are the first team to ever do this.
Yeah.
they've got to hit with some stick,
We
haven't they?
see every single team that comes to St James's Park when they go a goal up, if they go a goal up in previous years, that's what happens.
Palace did it constantly. Everton. How long was it taking Pickford to take a goal kick?
Yeah.
Distribute the
Every
ball
other
every
club,
weekend.
It happens.
It's constant.
But
It is.
because Liverpool didn't like it, even though they did get the result,
Yeah.
because of that, you could argue. But the fans really didn't like it. The fans stayed in Anfield to boo the Newcastle team off the field, which was mental. But then, yes, you see it at Spurs, you see it at Old Trafford. But everybody does that. So how come are we under the spotlight now? Is it because who owns it?
I think it was that Liverpool game again being televised.
There was a
It
lot. I mean,
It doesn't help, you know.
when Nick Pope's having to have a paracetamol in 2 minutes.
See,
can see
I
the-
think that was. I honestly believe that was just normal. That I think something has happened there. Yes, I get the whole thing.
He's not going to be wasting time at that stage of a game.
But obviously at Spurs, then yes, when he's collecting the ball, then dropping on his knees, then falling. But every single
Every keeper does
Yeah,
that.
that does it.
everyone does it.
You know what I found? I was laughing my head off at this. Actually, you probably would have seen it. So he got a yellow card for the goal kick,
Yeah.
And then still took ages.
and then he went, well, can I take it now? Have you done your whistle? I was like,
I was like, he's going to get sent off here.
I did think that. I was like, this is cheeky, like, but funny at the same
I'd like to
time.
see Carrius get a game, like, so at some point. Palace in the cup, maybe.
You know what it is? Every time you see that dressing room photo, he's living his best life.
Give him a contract for me, like. Give him a contract.
I think he's a better second choice, isn't he, than what we've got there.
And
At the minute.
Darlow, definitely. I was thinking this morning, actually, and I like Dubravka. Everyone knows I like Dubravka. But there's a little bit of kind of, I don't know what you call it, justice in that he could be our second choice keeper for European games next season.
Yeah.
When he's gone there to be that Man U's version of this season, hasn't got a game yet. He could be our kind of European guy. Well, go on, you have a run out against like a Tromet or something.
Speaking of Dubravka, what I didn't like this week, though, was people's comments to him on Bruno's birth photo.
Yeah.
That was
That's
ridiculous.
Stuff
What
like
was
that.
that?
There's no need for it. Bruno put a photo, little baby Matteo that was born last week.
Yeah.
Congratulations, by the way, Bruno family. And Dubravka put a thing on saying, "Oh, congratulations, mate! Like they're happy for you." And people are just having to go to Dubravka in the comments saying, "Like,
How's the
usual
bench?
stuff."
All that sort
Yeah.
of stuff.
It's just unnecessary.
But if we turn that around and we'll stick with the Instagram thing, the comments that you're seeing from the players on each other's social media posts
Lovely,
right
innit?
now is
They're
fantastic.
really
to
nice,
see.
are they? Are.
It's really great, and obviously
Nick
that-
Pope.
that connection and that relationship that they've clearly got
Yeah.
on and off the field is down to Eddie Howe creating
Yeah,
this
100%.
sort of dynamic in the dressing room. You're seeing it with the victories there, and obviously the photos being released. It seems like one unit now, and we haven't had this for God knows how many years at this football club. Yes, it helps that we're playing very well and we're getting results, but long may that continue. And that's probably why Eddie Howe is bringing certain players into this club as well. And we haven't signed that arsehole.
You'd be looking at
Signing.
that. Like, you'd be looking at that. Maybe that's why Madison didn't sign. I don't know. Probably signing. I still think we'll get him in January. To be honest with you.
He's changed the entire culture.
Suggesting
hasn't
that
he?
Madison's an arsehole.
I love him. Like. He's changed the
He's
entire
brilliant.
culture, and I think it goes back to them little things, them things that he did in training, where they'd have like a game of the week, and that team's photo would be up everywhere in the
Yeah.
I know it's things that are behind the scenes, but that's what creates a team spirit. That's what it is, isn't it?
If you look at the photo they took yesterday, they've still got like "We are Newcastle, we are United" on the walls. So they're taking a posters, they're laminating stuff like that just to try and kind of.
Because I love the momentum.
PMA, isn't it? All the positive quotes and stuff
And
like
do you
that,
know
and
what it is?
inspiring them and all that.
What's it? Integrity is our intensity is our identity. That's his big thing in it. It's
I remember seeing that Bournemouth thing with Gary Lineker when he took him to the stadium and he was going on there and he had all that stuff up.
Yeah.
And he's all about that. And obviously the team fought that. We got loads of shit for him, remember, because we beat Burnley. It was the first game we won under him. And everyone's like, Christ, he won the Champions League. And I knew then this is going to something that'll stay forever. And that I still see after the Arsenal game, that picture where
everyone, the
the family and everything, it was one of the greatest.
I love that.
It really was one of the greatest. We'll have a trophy there next time when we do it.
Can you imagine, man?
100%.
100%.
Let's not get carried away.
Let's get carried away.
Oh, we're definitely getting carried away. Of course we are.
League Cup this year for a start.
Well, not yet.
Well, why not? Why not a League Cup this year?
If we're
I'd
going,
love
if
it.
we're going to
I'd love
enjoy
it.
this and
There's
get
no
carried
reason why
away
not.
right now, when can we?
There's no reason that we couldn't go for this year. We've got to the players to have
It's
a good
hard.
go at
It's
it.
I'm with you,
it's
I'm
still
with
too early. It's still too early.
It's not.
It is.
It's too early to win the league, aye. But why is it too
Well, I
early to
don't
win the
know.
league?
Arsenal drop points at the weekend.
Because the final's not until next year.
It's too early. It's
definitely
it's not
too early.
February
It's definitely too early to win it. We haven't even played yet.
Right, let's go through the rest of these. This
Pass
one
the
is
pike
from
now.
Arthur. He says, morning from New Zealand.
Hi, Arthur.
Love the show, lads. Good morning, mate.
Come on.
He says, great to see the full team in attendance. What position do you feel we most need to strengthen in January?
Right wing Miggy's shit.
Stop with you, Mark.
It's still right wing.
you
Even
think?
like as good as Miggy's been so far this season, that's the
If you lost him, you're in big trouble.
you don't go all of the summer like we did, talking about the fact that we needed to strengthen that area just to now not have an issue. If Miggy picks up an injury, if his form drops off or something like that, if you've got a real world-class right winger that can come in and play in that position, it makes a hell of a difference from us.
I agree. Right wing. I love Miggy. I do love him.
I don't want him to get injured or be
Yeah.
replaced. I want him to keep doing what he's doing, so we don't need to.
Can-
But we still
can we
probably
not
need strength in there.
argue
both wins
here,
for me.
yeah, and say the left side, because Saints injuries are a huge concern. They
Yeah.
really are, and he's our starting winger, left sided player in the midfield, isn't
I
he?
think-
100%.
I think when you look at the positions in the team, left back, first choice, well, probably Dan Burn now. Target's a good replacement.
How do you feel about that?
I would have expected. I think I said last week I was expecting Target would play it yesterday. I feel a bit sorry for Matt Target. I don't think he's done much wrong, to be honest with you.
He'd left Villa for
Yeah.
game time. He's came to us, got game time.
Dan
and Dan Burns took his
Burns-
position now.
Burns been fine. He's not been. There's not been a game where he's been terrible. That you can see, Man U did target him. That everything they did was down the right hand side and everything, but a lot of what they did was down right hand side at Old Trafford last week. But Burns been fine for me. But I think every position you look at, first choice in who is right centre halves. You've got Burn again would probably be a third choice centre half at the minute. Lascelles is still there. The biggest drop off in quality from the first team, your first player in that position to the next, is the wings. Almiron and St Maximin, he dropped to Murphy. And
Right back as well, maybe.
I mentioned right back last week.
Trippier to Kraft, like the way Kraft finished last season.
But
But he's out all season, isn't he?
No, Mankia was back on the bench.
Mankey was back
Yeah.
at the weekend. That was nice to see.
How doesn't seem to be that keen? Has he been injured all
He's
this
been
time?
injured,
Mankia?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
that might be-
So he can't. He's not just going to come in and be fine.
You
But
could possibly argue maybe a loan that can play right back, but I don't think that's an area where they'll look at bringing in a permanent signing.
Stephen Corrin.
you won't, because Trippier's so good.
Mhm.
I mean, let's be clear, he is absolutely ridiculous.
He's first choice.
Um,
He's de facto team
Of course,
captain.
he is.
isn't he?
Just if you lost him, you're really in trouble. Like, because
Yeah.
there's no one there, really. But I think I agree with the wingers. I think I want to say about Maxi is that he played the most minutes than any player last year.
Yep.
So I'm not saying I'm worried as such, but if he comes back after this stint out, right, and then has another layoff for another period of
Yeah.
time, well, then we've got a bit of a problem going on, right? So listen, everyone has Wilson's had many injuries, and I'll forgive him. So
Yeah.
I'll
Played
Maxi's
3 games in a
Maxi's
week,
still
which
got
I'm
time.
shocked at Wilson.
Yeah, he's still got credit in
Yeah.
the bank for me, but
A lot.
I
It's
definitely
weird. It's a weird one that with that playing the most minutes, because there was a lot of periods last season where he didn't seem to
he
be
was out, yeah.
Start last season, wasn't it?
in the team, which is
Amazing.
like, it's mad to think that he still went on to play the most minutes.
Board games.
You think
So that's
about,
why,
about half
you know-
the first team changed last season as well, though.
True. I suppose when you look at it that
Yeah.
way. Yeah.
So
But anyway, I do think the wingers, because as I agree, we've been, I wouldn't say lucky, because that's harsh really on what he's done and what Howe's done, but that's fortunate, it's the same word, but Mickey doing what he's doing, we didn't expect.
nah.
So we kind of have fell on our feet here, because we've stuck them there, we haven't got another option, all the best here, and it's became what it's became. It's fantastic.
And we probably expected, looking at the left side, that you've got a bit more in depth there. Yes, not necessarily to the same standard, but you've got Murphy that'll play there, Fraser that'll play there. That's
Fraser's
where
been
Miggy would normally play.
Joe Linton.
Yeah,
Joe Linton will
covering
go
the
out there.
place.
I think
Whereas-
Fraser's been the most disappointment. I think. Honestly, I thought with the preseason under his belt on the Howe, I actually thought what Mickey's doing, I thought Fraser might have
Yeah, I
done.
think
He's
I'll-
just not
I'll
getting the
probably
games, is he?
go along with
Because
that as well, yeah.
But yeah,
Murphy
he
and
can't- he
Mickey
hasn't
have done
He
well.
hasn't looked great. He hasn't looked
He
sharp
hasn't
when
when
he's
he's
played,
come on. I don't
unfortunately.
think.
I like Fraser as well, but
I do.
it hasn't really over since we got him. What, 3 seasons ago, two and a half seasons ago? I don't think you could really say it's worked that well. End of last
I
season,
know, end of last season.
end of last season was excellent, but
Yeah.
the first season he was knackered for long. The start of last season, and so far this season, that's half a season a third of a season.
Considering how excited I was when we got him,
Yeah,
it hasn't worked out in that way. There's
Yeah.
still time, of course. I'm not saying it won't.
Because we're all hopeful of the partnership him and Callum Wilson could have. Obviously, bring
Yeah.
that
100%,
from
yeah.
what happened at Bournemouth.
We just haven't needed him though. That's the thing. Like with those that are in the team are performing.
I think we discussed this last
fair.
week or the week before. But do you think we'll have a similar sort of transfer window like we did in January, where we'll bring a handful of players in, or do you think it'll just be if a player becomes available that we can't turn down
I've
that
got
opportunity?
a feeling that and there's a long way to go before the World Cup is still 4 games maybe. So, and the other teams I said earlier have got games in hand. And it's a big if we are fourth for the World Cup, I think you have a big January. Like I think they'll go for it.
That's exactly what I thought.
Yeah.
Sign Vernon Anita.
So do the opposite,
Olivia came in.
opposite of what Ashley done.
Yeah, exactly opposite. I think
If
even if we're sixth, I think however,
as long as it's safe to do and there'll be no bat phones ringing in head office
Yeah.
down the Premier League, because we need to be careful here. Because I just feel, listen, I want to buy the world, right? Buy everyone. I didn't care, but I don't want that to come in the detriment of getting challenged or getting wrong for doing that. Do you know what I mean? Financial fair play or whatever it may be. But I agree totally that if we can get through the next 4 or 5, I know Chelsea's in there. We've got Villa on Saturday. I think we'll beat them.
Southampton as well.
Southampton's in there. I think there's a chance, we could be 4th or 5th going into the World Cup break. And if that gets you to January, I think they may go all guns blazing, like to actually let's try and attack it. For the next
So
20
the
games.
names which have been linked recently. So you've got Trossard from Brighton.
Good player.
You also
Apparently
have.
Fee agreed, I read. Is that true?
I wouldn't read too much
Yeah,
into
okay.
that, to be fair.
It seems it came from nowhere as well.
You
Just like-
also have
Yeah.
Madison.
Still there.
Rumours won't go away. I think Madison would probably have his choice of a couple of top teams.
100%.
I don't think it will just be us that's going to be interested in him.
Yeah.
I think the likes of Man U would probably look at him as well. And recently, it's Mikel Merino's name has been
I think
mentioned
I was
quite
I
a
was
bit.
just besting me on that one up yesterday.
There's quite a few
one of
names.
my many burner accounts on
Oh.
Twitter.
So
I'd love him back,
I would as well.
He's just
He's come on loads since he was out.
where is he? Where is his position now, though? In regards to on the
for me,
field?
you know, as I could see him sitting in
from the back 4?
in that holding
Okay.
position, which will then free.
Oh, he's
Bruno-
talking about freeing Bruno,
Bruno
again.
up again.
Free
Fuck's
Bruno.
sake.
It's
In
like when
fairness, did
Deirdre went to prison. This free Deirdre.
did you see
Free
his interview?
Bruno, get him forward.
One for the kids.
What did you say, Brunio?
Brunio.
It's only dog food, isn't it?
Did you see his interview? I read it all, to be fair. It was
Oh,
tremendous. Like,
I-
but he mentioned a lot, didn't he, about like I'd rather play number 8, but I'm fine with playing a 6. It's fine. I love him in that role because I know he's playing a 6, but I still feel he's not just a 6.
He gets forward when
He
he
offers
can.
a lot going
He
forward as
does.
well. Like
He doesn't he from that position. And the
Yeah.
reason why I like it is because I always feel because he's so deep, he carries the ball, he passes it, and then he starts to go forward. Where I love that he arrives late, he comes in
Yeah.
late. He's hard to
He's
pick
just a
up.
complete midfielder.
He is.
he's a
He
wonderful
really
player.
is.
Like, I've not heard the
Um,
Trossard, but I heard a bit.
I
of
heard the deal.
There was a lot of talk of Tielemans earlier in this. I don't know if
See
that's
his
not
goal,
quiet.
by the way.
Oh,
Oh, me, what a strike! But
Can you imagine
I'd
a
take-
midfield
by the
of
imagine
Mourinho, Bruno, and Joe Linton?
Mourinho.
Mourinho.
Shell-
He's in his 60s now.
Shelby or Bruno and
Imagine
Mourinho?
just play
I'm just putting Oyo's on the end.
Nick Pope and 10 centre midfielders.
Can I wait for Callum Wilsonio to get some more goals?
to be fair as well, you've got Isak to come back in there as well at some
Uh-huh.
point, right?
Yeah.
So that I hate to sound like a Pardew here, but it's like a new signing, right? Kind of like
Let's
because he
yeah.
hasn't done much, right? And I did say I don't like it when a new player comes in and gets hurt early. I just didn't like that. Look what happened to him, and
Yeah.
I like them to come in bed correctly, but
Christian Mercedes.
Mercedes, yeah.
So sore about that.
But
De Jong.
it's just I just do feel
just
if
always
we are 4th or 5th and we're in an opportunity, I just have a feeling the meetings will be. Hang on a second, yeah, we're
Yeah.
2 years ahead of schedule, lads.
We could get a
Yeah. Let's
an
get
immediate
get
return.
one hand
So,
in this barrel here. and we'll be
In
fine.
January just gone, it was the other side of the Conway was we need to bring these players in to not get relegated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it could be this January we need to bring these players in to
I
the
think
final
What a
push.
fucking 12
I
months.
think
man. What a 12
I
months.
don't think we'll find it quite so hard to attract players either.
Oh, definitely
Nah.
not. But
Nah.
then might you be attracting the wrong ones because of that league position
No,
compared to the
I don't
last
think.
year?
I think the structure that they've got, with all the not just how the Dan Ashworths of the world, everything that's in place, right? I don't believe that would happen. Now, listen, that does not mean though that you could sign a player. It just doesn't work. That's
It happens
football.
at
just
every
happens.
club.
Yeah, doesn't mean just because you buy someone his attitude's bad.
Although we haven't had that yet.
No,
Since the
no,
takeover,
I
we-
agree. We
yeah,
actually
The
haven't.
character
We'll
bit
have-
is just something that is talked about so much that I don't believe that they get themselves into that situation. Like
Totally.
Yeah.
with what you're saying, they talk about the fact that they do their homework on the players, what they're like, what are they like off the pitch, and all of that kind of thing. And I just don't think they'll go after somebody that's a bad apple.
I agree. Totally agree.
I think so as well.
But then he went for the lad who went to PSG, right? And he's apparently a right also, isn't he?
Young lad, is he?
Well, from what I've been reading about.
He wasn't happy that he wasn't getting game time.
And he was saying, well, he used to grow
mean,
his attitude used to improve.
Went to PSG and he's shocked.
Who would have seen not that coming?
Yeah. But anyway,
You just turning to Yoda there.
Who would have seen that coming?
who would have seen that not coming?
Who would have seen that coming?
You didn't say that.
I did.
You
He
didn't.
said, who would have seen that not? Who would have seen that coming?
Who would have seen that not coming?
Oh, no, everyone just misheard you. Was a foul.
Do some more questions.
Right. If anybody does have any more questions, we'll keep on going. So this one is from Callum Lewis, who says, should Dan Burn be going to the World Cup now as a centre back, even if he's on the bench?
Well, when I see Mings and
Mings.
Yeah.
goodness Lord,
Eric Dyer yesterday. Dias had a good season, but he was terrible
he's
yesterday.
terrible, man.
He's
I
terrible.
don't think
full
he
stop.
is. I don't think he is. I think I think the high press just kind of got under his skin yesterday.
Well, he's fucked with regards to the World Cup against him.
Yeah.
Maguire, how are you?
Maguire's all right for England, to be fair.
Maguire's not a bad centre half. He's not.
Nah.
He's not an £80 million centre half on my new. He's a good centre half. And
I know, but you see him in the last game we played against Italy there again, just
yeah,
terrible mistakes. You know,
he
what I
did
mean?
bigger.
Again, I'm all about form. I didn't care who they play for. I'm all about form.
Yeah, with you, yeah.
And he should. I'm not saying he should be starting or anything. I'm not saying that. But when I see the options that are there, Mings one of them.
Yeah,
I think he's better than him. Like I do.
I think he's better.
I
than
do.
him as well.
I do honestly. But he's not. He's not in that clique, is he? I don't feel. He's in that Mings, and that's in that clique of.
Yeah, I know
Do you know
exactly
what
what
I
you're
mean?
saying.
By
Yeah.
that?
Because Southgate's had him, brought him through the
Yeah,
the ranks, hasn't he?
Yeah,
I think it's going to be a rough World Cup, mate, for us. You know,
I really do.
I do. I think,
do as
and
well,
that's
yeah.
kind of partly
Yeah, I
based
think
on
we'll
the
struggle.
Nations League stuff and all. But I just think it feels like it's kind of the end of Southgate's cycle.
Yeah.
And I like Southgate. I've been quite vocal in my support of him and stuff.
Yeah, you have, yeah.
And I think that what he's done at the European Championships last summer in the World Cup in 2018 was brilliant. Even though it wasn't the football that we wanted to see, I think he's got to be considered a success. But
Well, he took over a shit show. Let's be very
From
clear
watching,
as well. He did very well.
so
yeah.
I just it feels as if it's time for something new to me.
Do you think no matter what, he's gone?
I think if they win it, he stays on.
Okay.
Or if they get the final and
So
lose, maybe.
So he's going then, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
I
Could
think
this
no matter
could this possibly be the most amount of Newcastle players that have ever gone with an England squad?
what-
So you're looking at Trippier,
Well, I had-
Pope, possibly Wilson.
I had Shearer and Lee.
In 98, we had
Batty, did we?
90. Oh, shit, Ferdinand had gone by 98. We had
Yeah,
Shearer in 98. We had Shearer, Rob Lee, and David Batty. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a squad in the mid 90s. Had Venison and Lee Clark and Steve Howie. And
It's certainly up
yeah.
there. I think there's a similar number of
Yeah.
people, like no doubt.
Once again, it just shows you how far we've came along.
And
Yeah.
you're going to, I think I've said this many times as well, that more and more and more will happen as the years go on. You know, we'll have more players. I was really pleased Botman got called up as well to the provisional squad. is that
I
correct?
don't think because he's not
Yeah.
played for.
He's
Dutch
never
yet.
played for the Magic, but I
No.
did think it was nice that
Yeah.
he's part of that though, at least because he's never played.
He's been rewarded for his performances.
He's lush and gnarly now. Him, Botman, isn't he? I had him as wallpaper for a bit today.
I was talking to somebody
for a
that
bit. How often do you change it?
Well, my kids, I feel guilty, like, you know, but I had him on his new front wallpaper. Like, I just.
I was having a
Just
discussion
never
with
know
somebody
against-
the other day. I
He's
can't
not as
remember
good
who it was.
looking as Fabian, like, but he's
No, but
he's up
Botman
Oh,
has like model-esque looks, like proper chiseled
there.
jawline.
But the pair
man.
of them have got unreal cheekbones
We've
and
gone
jawline.
from
haven't they?
Southgate getting sacked to Botman's jawline.
Homoerotic.
I think we'll
I can see
struggle.
Kabay over there as well, and Gary Speed.
They've all got that jawline, haven't they?
Yeah.
I think we'll struggle for a while to have it in the Newcastle team any young English talent that could push into that.
he's absolutely lush, man.
He's a bit
I can see
chaverish
him.
for me, like.
He does look a bit like when Sorensen got his haircut and became like.
Chava sells, man.
I get part Ivan Drago kind of things going on me. I think like he's
He's very
just,
square,
It's
isn't
his
he?
neck. He's eyes.
well, he's
Which is all right. It's not. It's not.
Oh,
criticism.
actually,
He looked lovely in his roll neck the other week.
He looked
Oh,
like
he
a
did
Bond
put
villain.
a Bond villain,
Yeah.
aye. It's probably why I love him actually. The interview between Longstaff and Botman was lovely.
Oh, it was nice
It was
having
nice,
a
wasn't it? It
bromance
was lovely.
happening there.
And I also loved the Bruno and Wilson one on Sky.
Unreal.
Bruno was
Absolutely
just.
lush.
I had to
Bruno
break
was
away.
so
I had to
close
wipe
to tears.
Aye. a pink eye. It's like
I
Eddie
think that-
Howe seemed to as well. No, his interview after he had a bit of pink eye. Very switched to the weather.
Was it not just the
pink eye.
rain? Because he looked proper washed out.
Man, you thought it didn't have rain, did it?
Second half, like
But
right.
even, we're looking at these interviews, and Amazon Prime absolutely nailed it, the coverage during the week. Like, I
did very
love
well.
their
They always do,
coverage,
they're very
absolutely
good,
class. But when Nick Pope and Eddie Howe were being interviewed after the game as well, it's once again, it's that connection between the coach, the players themselves. It's honestly, it's unbelievable to see.
Pardew said this, I know a lot of people don't like him, but I did it at the time. I thought he did a really good job actually. At the time, he always talk about momentum, and when we finished fifth, and he says like it was just the momentum that we were on. It wasn't that we were the greatest team in the world or anything like that. It was the momentum we were building.
Confidence, isn't it?
Confidence,
Again,
momentum, team morale, and you're seeing this in as much as I love the CC Bar, Ben Arfa, Kabahai. It's a wonderful time. You probably have to say that the morale now is probably better than then.
I remember towards the end of that season, we played Stoke at home, beating 3. It might be the Bolton game, and Ben Arfa scored that goal. Actually, one of those two games. Anyway, I was in Shearers before the game, and Arsenal were playing somebody, and I was watching Arsenal, and they were picking this team apart. And I was thinking, I'm going to watch a team do exactly that up there in like half an hour's time. And sure enough, we're absolutely we're butchered.
We were electric for
we were
3
brilliant.
months
We
or
were
whatever,
really good. That it's kind of forgotten a bit because
It is.
Pardew did go really badly wrong. Like immediately, that summer we brought in Anita, we mentioned earlier.
We've got the quarterfinals in the Europa League, and that's again something else that I'll always.
Yeah, the Benfica.
Benfica. We
We played them off the park.
Which
We're very
is-
unlucky in the
which
second
is-
leg.
did,
But we still didn't. We only managed to kind of assure survival at the second last game of the season.
Yeah,
at QPR.
I think I know. Don't make this.
We went 1-0 down in
podcast,
that
but
game as well. Remy penalty.
I think we all know the capabilities the man had, and I think in that window to finish fifth and then finish in the quarterfinals of the Europa League is obscene for a manager of his ability, in my opinion. And then, of course, you always knew. And I still think in the Ashley era, every manager had a sell-by date pretty quick because of the investment, because of just because of that cloud.
It didn't help.
You know,
it
it
really
didn't
didn't
help.
help.
How wouldn't have? I don't believe how would have done the job that he's doing now under Ashley, because I just feel
Certainly
that
not, no.
cloud. Well, of course, you wouldn't have Bruno. I understand these questions, but like, just
I think he would
removing
have
that
got
cloud.
a lot out of the
Well,
teams of what he had.
I would agree, but he wouldn't. We wouldn't. I just don't think we'll be seeing the fruits as much as this.
No,
Because of that
he's
man-
he's
so-
improved massively as a manager and a coach himself as well.
Yes,
You know,
yes, given that time,
with what
yes,
he's
right.
done with the time out of the game.
He says as much. I would just have to go and study.
You've just got to look at look at. We've got the best defense in the league.
Simon Jordan sucked some eggs a day. Even he said he went after all my hands up and say he can't get a team to defend, and he says I'm completely wrong there. And Souness was really sticking up for
Completely
because Simon Jordan had
changed.
another bit of a dig at once. Because he was saying we're fourth at the minute, but remember Liverpool have been very poor. Liverpool really should have been there, and he was like, and Souness was like, no, that's just you can't say that. That's not giving Newcastle. You're taking credit away from them.
Away from
So I was surprised actually that he said that.
There's been a few comments of that because we're fourth, but they're only fourth by 1 point, and the two teams behind them that they're point behind still got a game in hand.
And I still say, if you look at the season and all, there's games that we've drawn or lost, and I think we should have won that. Really.
Palace, this low
Triple
goal.
this loud goal,
We
yeah.
on that run of draws, we were looking at the Man City game, the penalty that we didn't get, the Palace one that we had a goal disallowed. There was something in every Liverpool,
Yeah.
that, to
Just
how
at
that
the
went.
time, yeah.
There was something in every game that you could point at and go,
Could have.
if my young Andy had tits or but
Isn't
there's
that
always
your uncle had tits?
of
Okay.
course
Yeah,
it is.
of course it is.
Andy
Yeah.
had tits. I was like, well,
I started saying it wrong about a year ago. I'm going to keep doing it.
Keep saying it. The thing is, Bestie, this is what the media do, though. What we've just been saying there, they'll try and downplay how well Newcastle are doing
Yeah.
by making it that team's obviously coming to the spotlight by they're not as good as what they once were, blah 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 blah. But you mentioned the other week when the top 6 turned into the top 7. But there was something that they did where they showed the top half of the table, but went to 11th
Liverpool
because
11th.
Liverpool were 11th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is mental.
So it depends on the context. Was it like in isolation that looks bizarre to have Liverpool, but then
They might have been talking
well,
about
they're
Liverpool, right?
Liverpool and saying, here's how
I
they-
But
did-
either
I
way,
did
they
see
normally
one-
split it even.
I did see one though where they definitely did 7,
Yeah.
and I've never seen that. It's always 6.
Yeah.
That's the 6, and they cut it to 7, which was again it was adding in Liverpool, which was
They also did it as well where they said Liverpool were 5th in the table, which was us, because they couldn't bring themselves to say our name, and then said Liverpool 7th as well.
I think what I'm starting to like now, and it's took a long time to get to this stage anyway, is that I was listening to Sky Sports today, and there was Paul Robinson was on, the goalkeeper, and the woman, I can't remember her name, sorry, yet, but anyway, what I never seem to hear from all of these pundits, right? Because Simon Jordan couldn't say the names of it. He was trying to think of them, but he couldn't. Is there's always been a narrative like, oh well, they spent £200 million. That's it. That is the narrative, right? And I still see it when you're on telly and you perform the way that you do. All of them people stood up and take more notice. I really do believe that. And I'll go back to what I said before. And Paul Robinson mentioned, well, I watched the game yesterday and the improvement in the likes of Almiron, who's been there for years, and the improvement in Joe Linton, he mentioned, yes. And I was thinking, finally, it is more than just money.
It feels a bit like, can you remember we played a game on a Monday night last season at home? And they had Carragher and Neville sat outside a Shiraz bar, or whatever it was, 9 bar at the time, with a few fans. I think Alex from True Faith, Holly Blades was there with a bottle of brown ale. Everyone was.
Thomas was there. Thomas was there. I think Norman was there as well, wasn't he?
Norman Riley, yeah. And they were talking about and Neville and Carragher almost seem to learn on the job. So, hang on a second, this isn't what we've been led to believe. This isn't what we can. This isn't the overwhelming narrative in the media that Newcastle fans demand this, and this is actually kind of quite a. And it almost feels as though people have got to kind of experience it firsthand to realise what it is that we're.
You know why?
We're about. That sounds like such a fucking.
Because the media have been sports washed.
But mind, I'll talk about the kind of Newcastle are only doing well because Liverpool are doing badly narrative. The same happened when Leicester won the league. When Leicester won the league, it was because Tottenham were in transition. Before Pochettino got the job, Liverpool had a bad year, I think, which when Klopp had just started out. It was the year that the old fella had left Man City before they got Guardiola. Maybe it's the one before.
Pellegrini.
Shut your noise.
Shut your noise. So that was kind of what people was
mental moment that in the club's history.
It was Man U would kind of, I think, was when Van Gaal was at Man U. So everyone, Leicester won the league because they were the best team in the league, but every other club seemed to have that was what was, Arsenal having a struggle, Wenger's on the way out and all that. So it was still even then for Leicester. I don't think it's unique to us. It's something that happened before. Maybe because Leicester were perceived to be interlopers.
That was ridiculous.
Yeah.
It was wonderful, but it was
on about you wouldn't have thought Jacob Murphy would be in a team in fourth. I would never have thought Wes Morgan would win the league.
Yeah. Or Danny Simpson.
Yeah.
As much as I thought he was alright. Yeah.
I'm going to end it on this question, and this is something which is always going to stick by Newcastle United going forward. But I think it needs to be touched on. So this one is from Fish and Rods that says, is the constant Saudi baiting by the likes of Oliver Holt actually unifying the club team and helping us? Because we see this, you see it calm down, the likes of the comments that we see from, it's the usual journalists. Of course it is. And yes, that's their job. They're entitled to do that. Is it helping behind the scenes?
I've never seen a player get asked about it or it be mentioned or anything like that in respects to the player. Yes, to Eddie Howe, it always pops up in the press conferences and stuff like that. I think all of the comments that are about it are always directed at the fans and on social media. Twitter's a nightmare for it, like the ones that you've just mentioned, Delaney, Holt, the bloke from the athlete, the athletic.
Adam
Adam Crafton, or what it was called.
Craftonio.
They do it because they know, and they might well believe that it's the case, but they do it because it gets a reaction. They know that it winds the fans up. They don't direct it at. They'll say, "Oh, I wonder if Eddie Howe, has done his research yet and stuff like that." It's all little digs at the manager rather than the players. So I don't think the players are affected by it in any way.
I think we didn't need any more help to be more united as a fan base, given what had actually gone on. But I do think it has helped in that regard because I think all of us, are trying to. I mean, even I was an idiot and I retweeted something that I shouldn't have, but. Even I had it enough. I was like, and I bit, and I think that, but I think going back to the question, maybe in terms of players, I don't really think that that's in their mind at all. I think they're just focused on what they're doing, and what I will say though, the bigger the games get and the longer it goes on, the questions to how we'll get stronger.
Yeah,
I think they shouldn't though. The questions
shouldn't. I'm just saying they will though.
If they need directed anywhere, it needs to be directed at the owners, at the board.
You understand
at the likes of those people.
You understand why it's Eddie Howe getting questioned because he's the only one that you
power, really.
get to ask the question to.
Yeah.
You don't.
But he's made it
clear
owners. From day one that he's there for footballing reasons.
But the reason why they'll keep asking is we used to have the same argument with Lee Ryder, and people are going, well, you need to keep asking them. You can't just bottle it and not ask the question. And yes, I agree. I know what the answer is going to be before the question's finished. I know that. But I think them media people would probably get slagged off by other fan bases or perhaps their own paper if they didn't ask that question. That's just what I think anyway.
I think that not a playing. I don't think players really give a shit. I don't know if they'll know.
They're not galvanized by
but
it.
I don't think. But I think it's definitely like the fans kind of circling the wagon a little bit. I think a lot of the discourse on Twitter from like the Audi Hall has cheapened it quite a bit because there is a really serious conversation.
Massive, yeah.
And having a go at looking at NUFC 1982 on Twitter, 1892, so because that and it goes nowhere. You got people putting the Saudi flags in the Twitter bios or in their names as an act of defiance against that, and that totally devalues. If anything, it kind of feeds into that narrative that Newcastle fans are all pro-Saudi. And I've not seen. Apparently, there was a really good interview with United with Pride over the weekend. I've not on Sky.
It was before the match.
I've not seen it. I was a little bit disappointed with the statement they brought out when this takeover happened because it felt a little. And I'm not like a homophobe or transphobe, but like far from it. It felt a little bit like what they came out with when the takeover happened was a little bit weak, and I'd be interested to see what's happening now with it, because I don't think that Newcastle being owned by the Saudis should kind of preclude them from being Newcastle fans, but it is the kind of gay community that they've got the very kind of fucking severe human rights violations, whatever you call it in Saudi, that they don't like gay people basically. Putting in layman's terms, and as members of the gay community, I would be interested to see exactly what it is that what they say about it, because I don't think you can totally justify. I'm uncomfortable with it. I don't particularly like being. I don't like even without the kind of it being the Saudis. I don't think that. I made myself really popular that night now. I don't think
no one spoke yet.
I don't think that like sovereign wealth funds should own football clubs. Full stop. I think it's too much. I think like Man City should have. When I think of Man City, I think of who owns them. When I think of PSG, I don't want PSG to win the Champions League because I think of who owns them. I think, well, and that's how people think about us. It's not how I think about us because I'm a Newcastle fan. I can't remember a time when I didn't choose to be a Newcastle fan. It's just something that it happened to us because my dad was, my granddad was, and all that. So yeah, I think that. Before I've totally fucking digressed there, I think there's a serious conversation to be had. Definitely. And I think Adam Crafton from The Athletic was one of the better ones. He wrote some really interesting stuff it might be in the summer, might be when the takeover happened, about the kind of implications of the Saudis because of what they, not all the Saudis, but because of how the states behaved. And the implication of them running a football club and the whole sports washing thing. And I don't think there's been a really serious, because of how Holt goes on Twitter, Glendenning, that fucking prick.
Delaney.
Yeah, they
what
do
was
it.
the other one? The one that was defending Klopp the other day and using Eddie Howe's.
I think he was a scout. He was a Liverpool journalist, wasn't he?
Oh, what is he called?
I can't remember.
Or Clay or something like that.
Philippe Auclair, the French lad. Yeah. As it happens, he's one of the ones I quite like, Auclair as well.
I knew when I seen that comment, literally the minute I read it, I was like, oh shit, but I just know what the narrative's going to be here now.
As it happens, I think what Howe's kind of comments weren't necessarily direct. They weren't meant to be.
Oh no, they weren't.
Eddie Howe blasts Jurgen Klopp.
No.
And I think it's a bit disingenuous to kind of. And again, this is something that cheapens the whole conversation for me. 100%. Is going down Eddie Howe's throat when that's not what Eddie Howe said.
Yep, exactly.
Especially when Eddie Howe was talking about his behaviour, what he does.
A lot of people screenshot
other people
something
do,
which he got fined for at Bournemouth.
Yeah,
because Tyndall got banned for a match, and I think Eddie Howe got a fine after the match for the comments about the referee's display. It wasn't screaming in the referee's face and stuff like that. And like Bessie said, it dilutes a lot of the serious conversation that we need to have.
Totally. I think by all means, if you've got something serious to say about it, then say it. But don't start having pop at football fans are trying to win cheap shots on Twitter, because it just kind of renders the whole thing trivial.
Yeah.
Well, in people's heads it does. Obviously, it isn't. But
it massively takes the seriousness away from everything.
Usually.
It does. Right, we'll finish. I was going to end on that one, but we'll not end it on such a sour taste. So, shall I go? This one is from. Let's have a look. Callum Lewis. He says, "What your thoughts on Richard Keys's comment on moving the training ground closer to London?" Mark, this is a discussion and a debate which we've had previously.
Yeah,
I think it might have been Richard Keys the last time which mentioned this, or somebody on TalkSport. I think it actually was TalkSport. What's your thoughts on it?
It's been suggested before in the past and other clubs,
Sunderland,
even
massive.
other areas and if you looked at things completely objectively and just said, would it be easier for players that they'd be happier living in London and that they trained during the week in London and then came to the game, then objectively, yes, it would work. Is it the right thing to do? Absolutely not. You want them in the area where the team is. You want them there. You want them buying into the ethos around the club, because you wouldn't be getting the situations that you're seeing now where you're seeing the players going out in the public. You've got they're interacting with the fans in the streets, in the shopping centres, and that's what's helping to build the relationship between the players, the club, and the fans at the minute.
It's a
and helping to
Newcastle United
strengthen that.
foundation as well.
Yeah.
What the players do to help the foundation and the visits to the likes of the hospitals and things like that around Christmas time.
You couldn't do
You
it.
take all that away.
Yeah.
Well, you got Bruno in 442 this month or last month saying he feels like the mayor of Newcastle.
Yeah.
That was his quote.
Make him the mayor of Newcastle.
I'm game for that. Because when he goes out and he said people idolize him, you know, like, and that's just how
I think that can be difficult for some players.
I think people. I think Steve
Janus
quite
said
famously.
about the goldfish saying that was he found it difficult.
Andy Cole struggled with it.
Yeah.
And I can, and do you know what it is? I can understand that. I can get it.
move
But I
on.
think that is one of the most ridiculous comments I've ever heard, and it doesn't surprise us who it's from.
Yeah.
I mean, just think of that. What the hell he's saying there is unbelievable, isn't it? Really?
Okay, if you look at other sports, and particularly in like places like America, where because you've got the franchises and stuff like that, it's not uncommon.
Yeah, no, but you're moving the entire franchise.
but
You're not having the
even-
Patriots fucking train in LA, and
But
then
you'll have
drive off
you'll
to the game.
have
It just doesn't work.
teams, because again the size, and I know it's because of the size of the country and stuff like that, where it's an hour's flight from here to London.
And American
You're
sports don't
not-
count. Sorry, Dick.
flying an hour in America, you're still in the same state, you're still in the same place and stuff
I
like that.
understand.
You
It's
are,
not-
but I think that's the thing. Is it like I'll go with the Denver Broncos off the top of my head right in the middle of the country, Rocky Mountains, all that, like in Colorado. Like if you're 2 hours away from Denver, you're still going to find loads of Broncos fans, loads of Colorado Avalanche ice hockey fans, because that's their catchment area. If you move Newcastle an hour down the road, it's not Newcastle anymore.
No.
Yeah.
You know, it becomes Leeds, Barnsley, Sheffield Wednesday, Hull, whatever. It's it's that kind of.
It's just mental.
I would be gutted, and even though I very, very rarely go past the training ground because I don't get up Benton that much, to be honest with you, I would be gutted to think that Newcastle didn't have a presence in the city aside from St James's Park and a club shop. I like the fact that the train there, that the kind of administrative centres there, even if a lot of what Stavely and Murdoch Gadusi doing is in London or wherever, the Saudis obviously be doing their bit out in Riyadh. Jamie Rubin's probably down in London, like, well, I'm not going to say anything. I'm popular enough, mate. But yeah, I think like
Newcastle's lush though.
Yeah, football, and it's a beautiful
It's
city.
lush, man.
Well, look, I mean, I know he's not there now, but Rob Elliott, he kind of fell in love with the place and he moved up here and he says, I want to retire up there. And,
Back here, ain't he?
Is it gated now, isn't he?
of course, he is.
Yeah,
That's
he is
right.
back
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
Right,
With Mike Williamson, isn't that one? Who probably hadn't set foot apart from a couple of weeks.
Is he managing director at Gator or something like that?
I think you might be sort of
Something
along
that
those
sort
lines.
of
Yeah, only the
role.
last few weeks, this isn't it?
Yeah, it's just
And like Mike Williamson's kind of that. Yeah, Gateshead is great up there. You know, and people do. I mean, Gateshead's shit. Mark lives there. Ian Banks.
Most of it is shit, though.
It's all right.
Sorry,
I
Gateshead.
don't like Gateshead. It's too hilly.
but it is a hill.
There's
So-
traffic everywhere.
Saltwood Park's all right.
Traffic.
There's
there is.
the traffic everywhere in the centre because of the
No.
bloody bridges.
I know we're going off topic here, but Gateshead is the worst place in the northeast to drive through.
Because you're trying to get across the bridge.
Out of it.
Even if I want to get, even I'm in Gateshead, trying to get the other side of Gateshead, it's a nightmare.
They make
Rubbish.
Sunderland Road longer every week.
It's a nightmare.
Rubbish.
Sunderland Road's going to be longer when I drive back tonight than it was when I drove in.
That's because of how the road works.
Well, I want to, because we're going to end it now, aren't
You can talk about tip cam now.
we? Tip cam, hey,
Tip
good old tip cam.
We were at the tip yesterday. It goes like that.
It's
Just
mint how you
show
just
Matt
book
it's
your
your
appointment.
Halicon days, that's
online.
Halicon, yes.
I go all the time now. It's
Amazing.
amazing. It's always one free as well, like 15 best.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I can. What was I going to say?
What was the
Right, so, I've answered. I think about
Well,
moving.
move
No,
the
Richard
training.
Keys. Absolute ridiculous question.
Move London
Not from
closer
the
to
person that
Newcastle.
put it in. I mean, Richard Keys. So we're fourth at the minute.
Yep.
Mhm.
If I had to ask you a prediction now of where we'll finish, where do you think? Seventh.
Yep.
Chris?
I'm taking seventh, yeah.
Mark?
7th, 8th.
I think what's going to help us massively is that the teams around us have got European football right now. We don't have that.
And they've got a lot of players at the World Cup as well.
I think there's a lot ticking boxes for us in terms of momentum, what we are.
It could be very
games,
similar to
World
that
Cup.
season under Pardew.
Yeah, and I think we've got financial power to actually maybe push that further.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go all out and say 4th.
I really hope that you're right and we're all wrong, mate. I do. I can see exactly. I can. That's not beyond the realms of possibility because you're right. European football, the lack thereof this season for us will work in our favour for fitness.
If we say 7th or 6th, right? Because the audience around the table saying,
I
"No, just listen." I know, no, but 7th or 6th,
chance.
right? But would you thought we finished 5th on our pod?
course,
When at the
there
last
is-
game of the season,
there is a-
game of the season, we could have been 4th.
There is a
Wouldn't it work
chance, like
but so
not saying it'll happen, but there is a chance.
if we say 7th, that
Yeah.
and that you know, it is really like that's probably more factual, right?
And
I'm
7th's a
being
good season.
ambitious.
7th's a really good season.
What do you think the points difference would be though to 4th?
Not many.
It depends.
7th to 4th.
Yeah,
What do you think? Not many.
No, but what do you think it would be then?
I think
It was a lot last season, but then Liverpool. I mean, it's 11 games, and we're not.
It's still early. I know
we're
it's
just
still
over
early.
a quarter of the way through the season, so there's a long way to go yet.
Yeah.
But we will have a patch at some point where we can have a few draws, lose a couple, where we'll drop off a little bit. I think.
All it takes is I'm not going to say it.
Mark,
I'm not gonna
the floor's yours.
Can I just say, we at the start of this season, we said we'll be very lucky to go on a similar sort of run as what we did last season. What was that? 9 undefeated.
Yeah,
We've only lost once this season.
we're better than that now.
It's
Yeah.
we sat here thinking
Yeah, I
we
agree. I
probably
said it all
won't be
the
able
time.
to do that again.
I said it all
We've
the time.
done it,
Already.
and we've still got over
Yeah.
half the season left.
More.
And I have to come back to this though. The
Well,
reason why I'm saying is in being as ambitious as I am is because of the World Cup, because of European football, because we've got a January window coming that I think we can strengthen in, because we've got Isak coming back, because we've got Maxi coming back. We're gonna do. We're gonna
Oh,
do.
we're absolute shaggers.
We have to get to the end of November without any injury problems.
Okay.
We've got injury problems now.
So all right, so we say everyone's back. We've got no problems, and we're sitting where we are now, going into the World Cup. Would you maybe stress from 7th to maybe 5th, and then I'll get you on the 4th then if you say that.
It's 5th. He's gateway drug.
I think 6th.
Okay,
Sixth
all right.
Wait.
is achievable.
Sixth.
Harry Carr.
I think the top
You've
3 is
been
going
on
to be
form, haven't you?
miles ahead of everybody.
Spurs think miles ahead of everyone. Really?
I think Paul's a little bit behind because he's just
I
said,
think Chelsea.
"Fuck off, Sandancers." Not wrong with Gateshead.
It's just taking him that long to type because it's Gateshead.
It's like Gateshead Wi-Fi.
I don't mind Gateshead.
I think I can get through it.
Shields
I'm
are
just
shite,
getting
except
carried
for the
away.
beach.
I think I live in Jarrah. I think Jarrah's worse. I still think 7th, but the stuff you said, Deck, about injuries, the World Cup. I mean, I said that because I'm very clever. All that could go in our favour, and it wouldn't be the most surprising thing in the world for that to go in our favour. It could happen.
Now, what I will say on the back of all of that, though,
Yeah.
it's too early, like, because I think I know you always want to punch above your weight, of course you do, but I'm all about expectations of everything,
Yeah.
and I would hate it. Can you imagine? Let's just say, right, okay, I'm going to be totally hypothetical. We'll finish 4th, and then we're getting to the Champions League qualifier. Right? No. I know I'm being stupid. I know.
At what
I
point
am.
do I take my shirt off? Yeah,
I know, but let's just say, look at what's happening with West Ham this season with the Moyes at the minute.
Yeah.
Them have been punching above their weight for a while. I know they might have won the night, but it certainly hasn't been that way. Where we are now is where West Ham fans expect to be this season because of our progression and where you should be.
Fair enough.
I would hate it if that happened under us on the House. So House had the best 12 months in history, and we're finished 4th, and everything's amazing, and then all of a sudden we're 10th after 15 games or something next season. Everyone will be like, fuck, this is not good enough. We finished 4th last season. I always worry about the flip side of success.
We'll get that. We'll get that point at some.
You've got people wanting Conte sacked, man, after yesterday.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's in the 3rd, and that's exactly what I'm
mental.
trying to say. Yes.
Yeah.
But we'll finish 4th anyway. So,
Right, I'm going to wrap it up because we've been going for an hour and a half.
right.
So
okay.
this has been a full 90 minutes plus.
Yeah.
Thanks everybody who has joined us tonight. Thanks anybody who has became a subscriber as well. We recently hit 9,000, so we're aiming for 10.
Maybe less
Hopefully
than
we'll
that
get that before the end of the year.
Do
Yeah.
one thing before you stop watching, though.
now. Put your cut off.
Press
Put
the
it cut
like
off.
button.
Pull your
All right.
All right. Say, get your hand off.
All right, Leslie. Take your hand off whatever it's on at the minute put it on the mouse or on your phone screen or whatever you're watching on, and press the like button.
Yeah. So, like Mark said, press that like button. It helps us out massively. We will start showing our more Newcastle United fans timelines and YouTube playlists as well. Whether that's a good thing after this one, and
We're
best
we're sitting just outside the top 50 podcasts in the country.
Yeah, that's a
Just
in
outside.
the country, just outside the top 50.
4 football podcasts. I want to say, not all podcasts.
That's just detail.
Aren't we like 50 places outside the top 50?
As of now, but that's because we dropped 35 places because we haven't put this week's out.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, see.
Yeah.
So it could be in the top 50 of football
So we're
podcasts. would be
just
amazing, wouldn't
outside
it?
of the top 50. So give them a listen. Even if you watch on YouTube, subscribe on Spotify to the podcasts as well.
Don't listen to it. It's fine.
Don't just download it. Download it and delete it.
Thanks, everybody. It's been a pleasure as always. Degger, why don't you say one of
may
those
as well.
magic words, mate?
Well, won you now. Get it.